Kansas City on a beautiful night. Temperature some 59 degrees, and these Kansas City fans, they have been waiting, and they're ready for their ball club. Hi, everybody. I'm Joe Garagiola, and tonight I want to talk about the fans. You hear the cheering, and don't think those ball players don't hear the cheering. It's just that booing gets more publicity. And tonight is the first time these Kansas City fans have seen their ball players since they beat the Yankees and came to this World Series. As far as the players are concerned, I think Amos Otis said it all. He said, hey, in the last 3 games, we haven't had anybody cheering for us. It'll be a different story tonight, maybe. Well, Tom Seaver's with us again, and it'll be pitching that'll determine that, Tom.
Well, Joe, you know, if these Kansas City fans want something to cheer about, the Royal staff is going to have to come up with somebody to stop these Phillies hitters when there's men on base. Every time the Phillies do get somebody on base, they've been hitting at an incredible 571 clip. It's going to be up for Rich Gale, 13-game winner, a real big guy, 6'7", power pitcher, and he's the hardest thrower on the Royal staff. For the Phillies, it's going to be a veteran, Dick Ruthven, 17-game winner, who over the winter had elbow surgery and came back to have a very consistent year. As a matter of fact, since the All-Star game, he's been at least the most consistent pitcher on the Phillies staff. So tonight, 2 right-handers, Rich Gale for the Royals and Dick Ruthven for the Phillies. Tony.
Now let's honor. Last August, 2 children trapped in a fire in their home.
Defense for Kansas City. Willie Wilson in left, Amos Otis in center, Clint Hurdle in right. George Brett back at third, UL Washington at short, Frank White at second, Willie Mays Aikens at first base, Darrell Porter back behind the plate, and Rich Gale, the pitcher for Kansas City.
The lineup: Lonnie Smith in left field, Pete Rose at first base, Mike Schmidt at third base, Vic McBride in the cleanup spot, Keith Moreland is the designated hitter. Luzinski is here, feeling better, but Moreland is the DH. Gary Maddox in center field, Manny Trio in second base, Larry Boa, the shortstop, Bob Boone, the catcher. Rich Gale, a big right-hander, and there he is, Tom Seaver.
Big Rich Gale, 6'7", Joe, 225 pounds. Just 26 years old. He, to the Phillies, will look like more like a National League pitcher than anybody they've seen so far. He's a power pitcher, has a good riding fastball, will sink it once in a while. His curveball is just so-so. It's a rolling curveball. He'll use it sometimes to get ahead of the left-handers. His slider is a good, hard slider, in on the hands. Changeup is so-so. 2 good basic pitches, fastball and slider. Power pitcher. He's a pitcher that can intimidate you. He's so big and throws so hard.
Well, this ballpark will be a factor, as you heard Tony talk about it. It's a good-sized ballpark as you look down the line at 330, but the corners are treacherous. Both Vic McBride and Lonnie Smith working on it. That's the left field going into center field. The alley is 385, dead center field about 415, 385 in right center field, and 330 down the right field line. All the seats here are geared towards second base. It's a beautiful ballpark. The artificial surface, not quite as fast as that in Philadelphia, Tony.
There are the dimensions, and a pitcher can get away, I believe, by make a bad curveball. If you get him at the big part of the ballpark in right and left center field, you can be helped by it. But the ball does carry fairly well from the 385 sign in right center field down the right field line. The wind blows that way at times. Tom, I was interested in the point you made. You said Gale is more like a National League pitcher. Were you saying that most of the Kansas City staffs are more breaking ball pitchers and he is a power pitcher?
Well, the 2 pitchers that the Phillies have seen so far are really, the first game, Dennis Leonard, sinker, slider, and in the second game, a pitcher that changed speeds more. National League seems to have pitchers that throw a little bit harder. At least that's what Schmidt and Rose and those guys would say.
The umpires right now are behind home plate removing some gear with the bat boy. Paul Pryor is the home plate umpire. Don Denkinger. There you see Pryor with the bat boy. The umpires, Pryor behind the plate. Don Denkinger, American League, Pryor from the National League. Denkinger's at first base. Dutch Renard, National League at second. Nick Bremigan at third base. The American League, Harry Wendelstedt down the left field line, and Bill Kunkel is down in the right field line. Wendelstedt, National League, Bill Kunkel from the American League. So we're all set. Gale against Lonnie Smith, the first pitch. Strike one. This ballpark holds 40,628. That's the official number in the Kansas City media guide. 40,628. It'll be interesting to see what the attendance is. Misses. 1 ball and 1 strike. Smith is 2 for 7 so far, a .286 average. No home runs, no RBIs in this World Series. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Tom, I think it was interesting what Billy Connors told us. He said that when he watched Rich Gale warm up, Rich is kind of a laid-back kind of guy. I guess that's the way they'd say it in California. And sometimes you need stimulation. He said he was going to go to him as he warmed up and say, listen, you want to pitch this ball game? Go get it. If not, let me know. He's trying to stir him up a little bit.
Right field. It's a base hit. Hurdle plays it on the first hop. And Lonnie Smith is on. We've said it so many times, there's no other way to say it. He can run and probably will.
And as big as Gale is on the mound, by the time he unfurls, here's the base set. Looked like he fisted a little bit, Tom, but just fought it off to the opposite field. But with Gale having to unwind with that big height, he is not quick to first base, nor is he quick to home plate, so Smith's going to try him.
Batter is Pete Rose. He is 0 for 7 in this World Series, but he has been a factor. Brett has moved in close at third. Smith stole 33 bases in 46 attempts this season. Inside, ball 1. Ball game just underway, no score. A leadoff single by Smith, ball 1 to Rose.
You say Billy Connors has worked with Rich Gale, and what he tries to do, because he's such a big man, he'll have a slower delivery to home plate. What he's trying to do is to get him to pop that left knee up instead of swing it out. If he pops it up, he'll be much quicker coming to home plate.
1 ball and 1 strike, nobody out. Back easily.
Don't know if Gale does it every time, but on the 1 pitch he threw home. When he went home, he picked those hands up very high above his head after he came from the belt position. And that takes a little more time.
Smith was gone, but he stumbled a hit-and-run play, and now he's going to work on the ground. And it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Well, we told you in the first game his nickname Skates. He slipped on the dirt. He really doesn't get a very big lead, does he, Tom? Well, like Morgan and Brock at times, they would get a lead with 1 foot on the artificial surface. He's got both on the dirt.
It looks like he relies almost entirely on his speed, Tony.
Lonnie Smith. Strike 3. A foul tip. Rose is out.
Pitcher throws the ball right by Pete upstairs. Paul Pryor, the umpire behind the plate, said it was a foul tip, and Darrell Porter hung on to it. So a strikeout for Rich Gale.
It brings up Mike Schmidt. Tom, it's interesting watching Gale when he holds the runners on, how he sneaks a peek even before. There he is. Look at him. Now there's twice he does, and that's it. He doesn't. Every time he's done it, it's been only 2 quick looks, and that's even before he goes into the stretch. What good is that?
Well, I think he's had so much trouble, and did have so much trouble last year, Joe, that he wants to hold the runners close.
There's a strike.
And they're trying to do it by making sure that he's conscious of those runners over there, making sure that that runner comes off the bag and stops. Make sure they don't get the walking lead, and then he can work on his quick delivery to home plate.
You think it's merely a message saying, I know you're there?
I know you're there. I'm aware of you. I'm going to make you stop. I'm not going to let you get a walking lead, and I'm going to throw over there every so often.
He started to go, stumble, and somebody from the bench, you can hear it on that great microphone, there he goes, which is what a catcher likes to hear, but he spins it. He better put some chains or something on over there.
If he can never keep his feet on the ground, Tony, I think he's got a chance to try him for a stolen base.
I don't know if he's decoying on that one or not, but he sure hasn't been able to keep his footing, has he?
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. 2-1. Now here's manager's delight, but you got a big power hitter up there. What do you do?
Joe, you're talking to Tom about the eyes as we look at Bake McBride on deck. I heard Early Wynn and several other pitchers talk about that for a right-hander, that a pitcher, Wynn used to look over his shoulder and find out how far he could close that shoulder and tilt his head. And when the base runner went out of his sight, he knew he had too big of a lead and he would throw over. So he's trying to find that spot, I think.
Didn't get it. 2 balls and 2 strikes. 1 man out. Base runner is Lonnie Smith. No score. Top of the first. Let's see if he takes 2 quick looks over there. Seems to be his habit. Even before he goes to the stretch. There's 1. 1 more time.
Last pitch that Schmidt swung at was up high. It's interesting with the National League umpire back there prior. If they laid off that pitch, it probably would be a ball, but he's thrown pretty hard.
3-2. You talk about early situations. Here's one now. I would think it would be a strikeout, throw him out. And you don't be out of the inning. If he gets a base hit, you're first and third with 1 out. So on 1 pitch, you're riding a pretty crucial situation. 1, 2. There he goes. Fouls it back.
He didn't have a good jump at all. It was more of a hit-and-run situation than anything else.
He strikes him out. He's out. Then he kind of a throw.
What they're trying to do with Gale, and you were talking about the 2 looks over, Joe, that he's taken almost every time. They want him to look over twice so that they make sure that the base runner has stopped. So he's not getting a walking lead. If he looks over once and the guy keeps on walking off like that, he can take off and have his momentum going towards second. They want him to stop that man and freeze him.
He does it very early. There's 1 look.
There were times early in Schmidt's career, one year he struck out 180 times, where they would not start a runner like Schmidt with him at bat.
There goes the runner. It's popped up. Foul territory. Willie Mays Aikens may have room. Nope. You know, let me point something out, that base running, and obviously I'm doing it from what I hear, is a rhythm thing, but our guys in the truck have picked up the rhythm. Mike Weisman, Harry Coyle, with that shot, they went to Gale's eyes, cut to the runner, came back, and it was Gale's eyes. Just boom, boom, boom. There was definite rhythm. See if we can do it again. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
One thing, Joe, that Gale has done here, he's let Mike Schmidt swing at a 2-1 pitch, and now he's thrown 2 3-2 pitches to him. Very difficult to pitch to a power hitter like this when you give him that advantage.
There he goes. He stumbled, but it's ball 4, and they would have had him trapped. Lonnie Smith stopped between first and second.
He has slipped every time he's tried to start. Every single time has, I don't know what kind of shoes he's using. Many players do not use cleats on this. They use the rubber kind of spikes. Watch his foot. He's done that how many times? And just this at bat by Schmidt, about a half a dozen.
Every time he's been over there.
He better go back and do what Morgan did in the championship series. Put on a different pair of shoes when he runs. There he is again.
George Thoma is the groundskeeper. He's not known to doctor it, but it's not beyond him to doctor. If they got great speed on this ball club, why would he do it? So you got to believe that it's Lonnie Smith. Bake McBride. He takes his strike. 1 man out, 1 strike to count. Keith Moreland on deck. He's the designated hitter. McBride, 4 for 7, a .571 average in this World Series. He has 1 home run, 4 runs batted in. Willie Wilson says, I'll take it. Schmidt is tagging up at second base. And now they're going to challenge it. Now he throws it.
That can be dangerous.
Very dangerous. The best I ever saw it doing something like that would be the late Jackie Robinson. You held that ball, he'd give it a quick start and stop, and then all of a sudden you put your arm down, he'd be sliding into third.
Well, Clemente used to do that around first base. He'd round the bag, well, halfway between first and second. The center fielder or right fielder would throw behind him. He'd keep on going to second. Willie Mays.
Here is Keith Moreland, the designated hitter. He's 2 for 4 in this World Series. 1 RBI. There are 2 outs, no score. Center field, Amos Otis going over to right center field, makes the play. So the Philadelphia Phillies go down in the top half of the first inning. We go to the bottom half of the first. The score, Phillies nothing. Kansas City coming to bat.
Bo at short. Manny Trio, the second baseman. Pete Rose at first. Bob Boone, the catcher, and Dick Ruthven, the pitcher.
The lineup that he'll be facing tonight. Willie Wilson leads it off in left field. Batting second, it's Frank White. George Brett at third base. Willie Mays Aikens at first base. Hal McRae at DH. Amos Otis is in center field. Clint Hurdle in right field. The catcher is Darrell Porter. Batting ninth, UL Washington, the shortstop. And pitching for Philadelphia, Dick Ruthven, 17 and 10 during 1980.
Joe Ruthven, 29 years old, 6'3", 190. He was 17 and 10 with a 3.55 ERA. And you'll see a pitcher that uses just about all the basic things of pitching.
It is ball 1. Willie Wilson, 1 for 9. He is disruptive. He makes things happen. Out of play, 1 ball and 1 strike. You may be in for an exciting sight if he has a chance for an inside the park home run. We were lucky to see 2 of them in this ballpark, and it is some race. Wilson against the ball. 2 balls and 1 strike. He tied for the league lead in triples with 15. Griffin of Toronto was the other man. It is high, 3-1. High chopper, Trio, short hop. He's got it. 1 out. Dick Ruthven. As we look at Trio, who gets the first assist. Ruthven 17 and 10, 6 complete games, 1 shutout, 33 starts, 6 complete games, made 1 relief appearance. That was in the championship series. One man out, Frank White, who is 2 for 8, a .250 average, no home runs, no runs batted in. Ball 1.
Joe Ruthven's got about 3 different kinds of fastballs. He throws a sailing fastball. He throw a fastball that will tail into the right-hander.
Foul straight back. Look out.
That almost got us.
1 ball, 1 strike. Tom, he also does something that's kind of distracting as far as the hitter is concerned. As he goes into his takeaway, he looks at the ball in the glove, and then he looks to the ground. I know I'd always want him looking at me, but he looks away twice.
Well, that's an unusual thing for a pitcher to do. I know personally I do the same thing.
Bunted foul down the third base line. When he looks at the ground like that, that can really throw you off as a hitter.
Well, the logic for a pitcher when he does that, there's Gordy McKenzie, third base coach for the Royals. What I do, my estimation, what I try to do in my mind is to visualize where I'm going to throw the ball. I don't need to look at it the entire time. And then when I do come back to home plate, I can pick it up that much more quickly.
1-2, outside, 2-2.
Tom, tell me, this sounds impressive to me, does it to you? He's pitched 223 innings, given up just 9 home runs. That's not allowing a whole lot, is it?
High hopper right to Mike Schmidt. And there or 2 away.
You know, Joe, he hasn't given up many home runs, but he's given up a lot of hits in the innings that he's pitched. 223 innings pitched and 241 hits. The home run number is impressive, but then on the other hand, he's given up more hits than he has innings pitched, so it's almost like a washout. He has a very unusual motion, and you'll see he comes there and looks down at the ground and then comes back and picks it up. Just as he starts for home plate, he picks up his spot at home plate.
So George Brett with 2 outs and nobody on. Slow, ball 1. Hope you saw the interview with Bryant Gumbel in our pregame show where Brett talked about his problem. I tell you, he is so tired of it, just talking about it, and he around the batting cage, he was just joking about it, as he said in the pregame show. There's a strike, 1-1, and everybody asked me, he said, listen, it's all behind me. It's all behind me. That's all he kept saying.
Does this defensive alignment in the outfield, when we get a chance to show you, look a little different than in Philadelphia? They're playing him a little bit more to pull, I believe. Maddox in right center. That may mean they would go to more off-speed stuff to him, hit to that big part of the ballpark.
Well hit. This ball may be out of here. It is 1-0. Listen to this crowd.
Swing once again off Ruth, but it was something off speed, which is the reason they're playing a little more to pull. They want George to come back out. He tipped his hat, sat back down, and I looked over my shoulder when he hit that ball, and his former manager's in our booth, Whitey Herzog, and all he did was turn and said, isn't he something?
He really is, and it may be the spark they needed as Willie Mays Aikens takes the first pitch for strike 1. Just reflect a little bit and know how much he must have been hurting to take himself out of that ball game in Philadelphia. Bouncing ball, Trio backhands it. Pulls Rose off the bag, but he stayed there long enough to make the 3rd out. But George Brett with a tremendous home run gives the Kansas City Royals the lead. Here's the swing.
One of the cliches in baseball, Joe, as you know, don't throw left-handed hitters down and in. That seems to be where their power is, and that's exactly where Ruthen threw that ball.
And so as we complete 1 inning of play here, Kansas City 1, Philadelphia 0. And you see Royal Stadium in the background. It is Arrowhead Stadium where the Chiefs play. A baseball park, a football stadium. They love their sports here in Kansas City. What a sight. Here's Gary Maddox. He is 1 for 6 in this World Series. First pitch fouls it off. Strike 1.
In pregame practice, it did not look like Gary was running that well. You see him loosening up. He got hit that ball off his left leg. Left the ball game. Game number 2.
Here's the 1-strike pitch. Inside 1-1. If you don't think things aren't magnified, pretty obvious from the George Brett coverage. You'd think he was Bo Derek or something the way they've been talking. They didn't say Maddox got hit on the knee. They found 10 to 15 centimeters of water on his knee. Brett, nice play, long throw. They get him. Does he mean something to this ball club, or does he mean something to this club?
I think sometimes people, because he hit 390, look at him as a one-dimensional ball player, and not true. He has good range. He's playing up even with a bag. This isn't a sensational play, but he had to move a little bit. Very strong arm. As you can see, the ball just rides over to first base, but he can do a lot more than just hit, that guy. He's very aggressive fielder also. Very aggressive. He goes after everything.
Tony, he said in the pregame that in Philadelphia he moved up so he wouldn't have to move too much. And he said, I know I could have gotten 2 balls that went by. That's how badly he was hurt. Trio fouls it off. There is Commissioner Kuhn, his wife Louisa, Erwin Siegelstein from NBC, Louisa Kuhn and the commissioner, hot dog and baseball, and they're happy. 1-0, Kansas City. Manny Trio. That was a pretty good fastball right there. I don't know how fast it was, but it sounded fast.
Joe, I think it's interesting that in the first 3 ball games of this World Series, neither manager has used the same batting lineup twice. They've changed every ball game, taking advantage of maybe scouting reports, which pitch. Guy might be hurt. That helps. Of course, Marlin DHing today. He had a pretty good day DHing, so he's back in there instead of Luzinski.
Trio regrouping. Gale, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, 1-0. Second inning, Kansas City leading.
Look
Up
out.
the middle, off his foot. Willie Mays Aikens went to the bag. I think Frank White was expecting him Aikens to go get the ball, but Willie was going to cover the bag, so it's a base hit for Trio. That was
I don't think he knew where it was. As soon as the ball is hit, the first baseman's job is to get to the bag. He took his eyes off the ball. It hits him on the left ankle or left foot. Aikens' back was to the ball. Had he caught it, he wouldn't have had anybody anyway because Gale wasn't covering. Here it is again, Tom.
He's not rated as an outstanding fielder, Rich Gale. It wouldn't have made any difference. There's Manny Trio beating out that single. If he had to be an outstanding fielder, he'd have never caught that ball. Manny hit that ball right on the button.
So, with 1 out, base runner at first. Here's Larry Boa. He's 2 for 7. Base hit in the right field. Trio is rounding second. He'll hold up. Hurdle fires it back in.
Look out.
Brett behind UL Washington. So it's first and second. 1 man out, and the batter is Bob Boone. And then we go to the top of the order. Lonnie Smith on deck.
Rich Gale on that throw from Hurdle. Fortunately, Brett did leave the bag because when UL Washington tipped it, Gale was not behind third base backing up the play. He was very slowly getting over.
In this World Series, Boone has the highest batting average, both clubs hitting at 600. He has 2 doubles. On base percentage of .714.
As Tom mentioned, this team is hitting very well. That's the stat that you mentioned in your little pregame summary, Tom. 571 with men on base.
You know, Tony, they've done it against the 3 best Kansas City pitchers, too. Leonard and Gura and Quisenberry. That's the thing that impresses me about the Phillies so far.
2 balls, no strikes.
The bullpen for the Royals starts going immediately.
Tell you, they got a statistic down here, and I talk about the magnification of the World Series. You know what the slugging percentage for Aikens is? 1,286. Boone is 1,000. I thought 1,000 would be perfect. I guess it's inflation.
4,000.
4,000.
Made a home run every time up. Bullpen, Rennie Martin. He pitched well. One of the ball games. Where in the world did that shot come from? You got a helicopter up above it?
3 balls, no strikes. There's the strike. 3-1, 1 man out. Kansas City leading 1-0, top of the second. Trio is at second base. Bo is at first.
Our producer Mike Weisman telling me that was from our gondola, similar to the one we used in the gondola in the Astrodome in the All-Star game in 1969.
You were in that thing, weren't you?
You bet.
Ball 4, the bases are loaded. And the top of the order, Lonnie Smith is the batter. Gale is in trouble. Jim Fry. He's got a 1-0 lead, but it's in jeopardy right now.
Here comes Billy Tom. There's Dallas Green. Sitting nice and pretty right now. Win both games at home in Philadelphia.
Let's pause briefly for our station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is WMAQ-TV, Chicago.
Joe Garagiola with Tony Kubek and Tom Seaver as we look at Royal Stadium in Kansas City. 59 degrees at game time, a jam-packed ballpark, and it's 1-0 Kansas City leading, top of the second. But the Philadelphia Phillies have the bases loaded with 1 man out, and Lonnie Smith, who singled his first time up, the batter.
He is tough to double up. He better hit it right on the button, right at somebody.
Strike one. I think that's one reason that Gale is pitching off the stretch, is to try to keep Trio as close as he can, so that if it comes back to him, they might have a chance to double him up.
It's one reason. Another one to hold Boa close at second, so he might not score in a hard single. And also, if you can prevent that runner at first by getting a little shorter lead, you can give your second baseman or shortstop, the pivot man, a better shot on the double play. Whereas in the other case, he may not have his good stuff from the stretch.
Right back to Gale. He don't know where to go. He missed home plate. He just pulled a rock. That was a bad play by Gale, and it's a lack of anticipation on his part, Tom. He should have had in his mind, and he can go to the plate.
No question about it, Joe. What he's got to do is know beforehand when a play like that happens where he's going to go. If the ball hits hard back to him, he's either going to go to home or he's going to go to second. He picks up the ball, evidently was going to go to second if the ball, to try for the double play, if the ball was hit to him.
Well, Tom,
after he missed it, he's got to go home. He's got to get the one out at home right there.
Even if he catches, he's got to go home.
He's got to come
Smith,
home.
But he's got to come home. The catcher tells him every time, ball hit back to you. Throw it to me.
I felt certain that's why he was pitching off the stretch, so he could cut Trio's lead, and then he blew it. Here's Pete Rose.
Without doubt, his play was at home plate. He had no other place to go other than home. Even if he caught the ball, he should have been going home.
One ball, no strikes.
Dennis Leonard in game number 1 lost his composure when he had a 4-0 lead. When Boa stole him, and Gale loses his composure. They're a young ball club with very little World Series experience.
It's high. But I don't know if it's World Series. They played 162 games in the championship series, so I don't know.
Think this is different than anything else?
It's different, no question about it, Tony, but I don't think you can rely on World Series experience. You got to have some reflex action.
Plus, he hasn't pitched in a couple of weeks. Almost 2 weeks since Gale's been out in the mound. He wasn't in that championship series.
October 5th was the last day he pitched. Well, maybe they did have to introduce him to the mound, give him a road map. 2-0 pitch. It is low, 3-0. Of course, these Philadelphia Phillies, the flow of the game, the whole series has been Kansas City gets the lead, and Philadelphia says, well, I guess we better tie them. And it makes no difference if it's 1 run or 4 runs. They play from behind. They've won the first 2 games coming from behind. 3-0 pitch. Strike.
The closest that Rich Gale has come to game conditions was last Sunday in Yankee Stadium. There's Greg Lazinski, the bull with the glasses on at Dallas Green. There's Jim Fry, but he pitched a simulated game in Yankee Stadium, Gale did, on last Sunday for 35 minutes. Pitched some, threw so many pitches, sat down, then back up. It's not the same, though, is it, Tom?
Not the same as facing somebody under game situations, Tony. And this boy, Rich Gale, has lost a little bit of concentration on the mound. Jim Fry in the Royal dugout. He's gotten a visit from Billy Connors already. Kenny Brett came over to visit him once already. Now Darrell Porter has gone to the mound to give Gale another visit. 3 visits in 1 inning. They wanted him to keep his feet on the ground. He's not throwing badly. He's throwing hard. He's throwing good enough to get out of the inning, but he went right behind Pete Rose, 3-0. Got a strike, walked him. Bases are now loaded. Major League's leading home run hitter at the plate. Situation you certainly don't want to get into.
Mike Schmidt, 2 outs, bases loaded. Bake McBride, the on-deck batter. 1-1. We're tied, top of the second. Schmidt walked his first time up. He's pitching off the stretch, and now Boa really getting a lead. Brett was way back there. Now that's pulled him in a couple steps. Wouldn't expect Boa to be trying anything with his big hitter up there. Fastball is low, ball 1. There's the defense. Deep.
They give him both lines fairly well and kind of bunch him, just a shade in the alleys in the outfield.
High fly ball. Wilson, Otis, both there. Otis says, I'll take it. And he does. So that ends the inning, but the Philadelphia Phillies tie it. And as we go into the bottom half of the second inning to score, Philadelphia 1 and Kansas City 1. Waterfall in right center field. A beautiful sight. We get set for the bottom half of the second inning here. It's a 1-1 ball game, and Hal McRae, the designated hitter. Today it was Hal McRae Day in Avon Park, Florida. He's had a good World Series so far, 4 for 7, a .571 batting average. 1 strike. Strike 2.
Tom, Billy Connors was telling us that when Ruthven had the surgery, he used to have a great changeup, apparently. Oh, a fastball that could be overpowering and a changeup that really fooled a lot of hitters, and he said he's lost it for some reason.
Well, he was traded down to Atlanta, and he got with Andy Messersmith.
Off the handle,
and Andy Messersmith really taught him how to pitch. Taught him how to keep his cool on the mound and taught him the changeup, which made him a very effective pitcher. And he's always had a pretty good fastball, and this last winter had arm surgery. Took bone chips out of his elbow, and he's not been able to get the changeup back since he's had the surgery. He still has the 3 good fastballs that he can throw almost in any location, but the changeup has not come back to him.
Ball 1, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I know I said Billy Connors. We've been talking about him so much. I, of course, meant Bob Boone and Herb Starrett. They're the catcher and pitching coach for the Phillies.
Here's the 1-2 pitch. It's high, 2-2. Ruthven was originally a Phillies #1 draft pick in '73, traded to the White Sox in the Jim Cott deal in 1975. He was acquired by the Phillies in 1978 in a trade with the Braves for Gene Garber. Off the handle, Pete Rose giving it a chase, has room,
got it,
makes the catch. Nice play by Pete Rose. There's 1 out.
So he made that play in the second ball game, late in the game, that may have saved that game. The line drive that Willie Wilson hit down the line. Here's Rose. Boy, he has such great baseball sense. He found that little box there, that temporary box for the camera people. Knew where he was exactly, but that ball that he caught off Willie Wilson, slapped down, was an amazing play.
One of the things that I appreciate about Pete Rose the most, Tony, is he's been a teammate of mine. He said he's played third base, he's played first base, he's played the infield, he's played the outfield, and become not only one of the greatest hitters of all time, but an outstanding defensive player, no matter what position he plays.
Here's Amos Otis, who leads with 5 base hits in this World Series. Takes it high, ball 1. He's hitting at .556. Otis has 1 home run, 4 runs batted in. High, 2 balls, no strikes.
You better bet that's a Kansas City Royals fan. Don't know if it's one of the Royals' children. He's counting the pitches for Tom Seaver, Paul Moskow up here. Throwing 42 curveball. He's having a good time.
Two balls, no strikes. Deep in the hole, ball's got a long throw. It is not in time.
Tough play for Larry Moe. He was playing so deep, he had to backtrack. He had the ball in time enough. Not a good jump out of the box, but you can see that his arm has gone downhill the last couple of years. He would have taken that ball a couple of years ago and rifled it there. One of the strongest, most accurate arms of any shortstop. He's lost. He plants that foot, Tom, but he just can't get anything on it anymore.
I was talking to Larry in Philadelphia, and he said that he had tried to get away out of the way of Dave Parker. The last series they played against the Pirates, and re-injured his ribcage, and it certainly may still be sore on him.
Clint Hurdle takes a curveball over the outside corner, and is strike one. Otis, a good base runner, 15 for 16 in 1980. It is low, 1 ball and 1 strike. Hurdle, 1 for 3 in this World Series. Two balls and a strike.
And don't take the man down at first base for granted. He has been excellent. Rarely thrown out this year, Otis. The left-hand hitter up with this count. He might be going.
Boa, nice play, 1. That's all they'll get. Boa took a base hit away from Clint Hurdle. And of course, Hurdle lost the base hit because of the base runner Otis. Boa had to play at second, so there are 2 away. Brings up Darrell Porter with UL Washington on deck.
You know, Boa he's had outstanding statistics as far as fielding. I read a stat of an 11-year career before this year. He'd had almost 8,000 chances and made only 128 errors. I mean, how can you handle that many balls and only miscue on that few? About 10 errors a season.
You don't think that synthetic turf has anything to do with it?
Oh, but he played his first year or 2 in the old ballpark in dirt and grass.
There's a strike to Darrell Porter. He is 0 for 3 so far. 2 men out. 1-1 the score. Bottom of the second. Inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Boa should have no problem. Steps on the bag to force on Hurdle. That ends the inning. So we complete 2 innings of play here in Kansas City. The score: Philadelphia Phillies 1, Kansas City Royals 1. And 2 up. City Royals have drawn 2 million in attendance each of the last 3 years. They've drawn from all over the Midwest. Drive for miles.
It was the last year, 2 years ago, that the 2 smallest ballparks in the American League, Fenway Park and here in Kansas City, they were 1-2 in American League attendance. And boy, they really pack them in. Since they've become a winner, it's been outstanding.
And a jam-packed house here tonight. Bake McBride to lead it off. Keith Moreland, the on-deck batter. Ball 1. The Royals trailing by 2 games in this series. You don't have to draw them a picture to know what the situation is. Line drive, base hit, right field. That looked like a high, slow room service curve.
That is probably his 4th best pitch. Billy Connors he's gotten to trying to throw a little bit, but not for a strike. He has thrown 2 of those to Reggie Jackson, and Reggie has hit both of them for home runs. Here it is again. Change up that high in the strike zone, and he doesn't have very good motion, I don't think. It's hard to tell motion from up here, I know, but he kind of slows his delivery.
He does. Tony slows motion down. He got that in a horrible spot. He's lucky it stayed in the ballpark.
Here's Keith Moreland. It's a strike.
One thing about this ballpark, Tom, comparing it to Philadelphia, we just came from there. A pitcher can make a few more mistakes in a park like this or Yankee Stadium, and I'm sure there's several big ones in the National League. But in Philadelphia, those mistakes can hurt you a little more.
Well, that pitch is a pitch Rick Monday calls controlled mediocrity. There goes the runner. It's fouled out of play. The hit and run was on. McBride, good base stealer, 13 of 23. If that was a hit and run play, you could see Moreland tried to hit that ball to right field, and Gale did a good job with that pitch, keeping it inside. We're tied at 1 apiece here. We're in the 3rd inning. Moreland hits .340 against right-handers, .264 against left-handers, so there goes that theory about opposites. Inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
This is one of the kids, Keith Moreland, who really helped this Phillies ball club. Dallas Green, knew he had to start getting new blood in it. So he got Moreland, who did very well, won some games. The 2 kid pitchers, Walk and Bystrom, and of course Lonnie Smith. And they all contributed a whole lot.
Big lead by McBride. Foul back. Moreland had 7 game-winning hits, and he only appeared in 62 games. Every time he gets one, if it's not a line drive, he says, well, it didn't look too purty, but it was very effective. There are the eyes again as we look at McBride getting the lead. Holding. Fouled out of play.
I'll say one thing in this series. Eyes the last time. We focused in on a lot of different parts of the anatomy in the first 3 ball games.
If you're like me, I'm looking right at that inset. There's one look, there's the runner, and there's the second look. A third look. Struck him out. Second strikeout for Gale.
That ball is a good spot, Tom.
He finally got one in a good spot, Tony. He's been getting behind, and he's thrown just into the 3rd inning here. He's thrown 47 pitches now, and of those 47 pitches, 37 of them have been fastballs. And if you don't think that those hitters on that bench aren't sitting on fastballs, they know exactly what that pitcher's doing out there. And he's lucky he got that in a good spot. He got away with a pitch at the 3rd out last inning where Schmidt threw a fastball right down the middle, and Schmidt popped it up to center field.
Here's Maddox, a first ball fastball hitter. Let's see what happens.
He hits the ball to right field pretty well. You could see a play on.
High bouncing ball. Brett backs up. Second. That's all he'll get. Horse play. Maddox is on with 2 outs. Brings up trio with Bo on deck. You know, I can't help as I look at Brett. He played with a broken thumb. Bad shoulder. What tremendous pain he must have been in to take himself out.
He had a badly bruised heel earlier, and then he had some strained ligaments in his ankle, and he came back too soon.
He's really a throwback, referred to as a hard-nosed player. So I'm telling you, you really have to admire him. And even hurting that badly, he had 2 base hits and a walk. He'd get out of his sick bed and hit a line drive, which he did tonight. Home run. They call it minor surgery, but no play. But to me, there's no such animal as minor surgery. It's like the guy said, minor surgeries went on the other guy. That goes, whoa, he faked me. He really had a good jump, but he stopped, and it's a strike. He took 4 quick steps. He was really spinning. Watch him.
I think definitely they got to try here. They have to try to make a steal, Tony. 2 outs, trio. If they throw him out, trio leads off next inning. I think they got to try and
both managers have had a chance in this game if they wanted to start a runner. They chose not to.
It's holding. Line drive, right field line. It is a fair ball. Hurdle charging. Maddox is digging hard. They'll hold him at 3rd. It's a double for Manny Trio. Nice play by Hurdle. That ball, if it gets by him, look out.
You bet, and that's one of the advantages of knowing your home ballpark. You talked earlier about the 2 guys, Lonnie Smith, Lazinski, and that going in the left and right field corners to play those walls and those caroms. Hurdle played it perfectly, didn't he? Didn't waste 1 split second getting it back in.
So it's 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs. First base is open. Bo is the hitter. Boone is the on-deck man. We're tied at 1 apiece. Tom, this could be a situation where you would pitch around him. I mean, widen your zone.
I don't think I would here, Joe.
Not as hot as Boone's been.
Not as hot as Booney has been. And Booney, a dead fastball hitter, and Gale sometimes with control problems. I definitely have to go after Larry Bow and try and get him out.
Ball 1.
Brett has come in closer at 3rd in the event of a bunt, even with 2 outs, and Akins has sneaked in at first base. Look how close Brett is, and then he began creeping in even more. Bo was a good bunter.
Willie Wilson just barely out of your shot there. Shows how close he is to the line. Good shot of the defense. It's ball 2. 2 balls and no strikes. If he lays a fastball in there now, Bo is going to go to work on it. Bo, a line drive type hitter. Ball 3.
Starting to lay off that high pitch now, that fastball that they were swinging at early in the ball game.
Tom, I got a feeling if I was catching you in that situation and you would have told me what you said, we'd have had an argument on the mound.
I'm the last one to let the ball go. I think I'd have won the argument, too.
But we'd have had to have the manager come in. I'd have said, this guy wants to throw that. There's the strike.
See, what you got to understand up here, Thomas, he's the crew chief up here, and you're going to lose the argument.
No,
He's the manager up here.
3 balls, 1 strike. Two outs. Foul ball. Brett near the stands, can't get it. He tried to climb into the stands. How do you like that?
That's George. And he said he learned this style of baseball from Hal McRae. He said, I did not know how to play the game until McRae came over and showed me how to take out runners and dive for balls and slide hard. Look at Brett go. He might have had it if not for the temporary seats for those still cameras.
You know, Tony, the philosophy of baseball you're talking about, George Brett, he learned it from Hal McRae, and you know who Hal McRae's teammate was when Hal was at Cincinnati. Of course, the other guy in the other dugout who plays the same kind of baseball as George Brett, Pete Rose.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Brett in time. So Philadelphia goes down in the top of the 3rd. We go to the bottom half of the 3rd inning with the score. The Philadelphia Phillies 1, Kansas City Royals 1.
We'll show you head-on what Brett looked like when he tried to go into the seats for Larry Bo's pop-up in foul territory. Bo then grounded out.
UL Washington to lead it off. We're all tied, 1 apiece. Washington 1 for 8, a 125 average. Ball 1. We're tied. Phillies 1, Kansas City 1. Bottom of the 3rd. 2 balls, no strikes. Strike. 2 balls and a strike. Two balls, 1 strike.
Really play UL Washington very shallow and over toward the left field line. Outfield, look at the defense. Big hole. That's Gary Maddox way left center. Big hole and all kind of right center, but especially look at the right field line.
Strike. 3-2, full count now. Played perfectly. 1 out. You talk about scouting reports. There was a pretty good one right there. Hit the ball hard. Tony pointed out where Maddox was playing, and here it comes. So there's one out, and here is Willie Wilson. He bounced out his first time up. UL Washington kind of talking to himself, going back to the bench, as you saw. There's a strike. Maddox playing him in the same spot. Foul ball.
I think Maddox is interesting the way he plays center field, because as you look at him now, he said how many kids dream and have a hero in baseball and get a chance to play and learn from him. He played, of course, with the Giants' Willie Mays, from whom he learned all about center field and how to play shallow by watching and listening.
2-strike pitch. High. I tell you, when you describe Willie Mays, one of the best descriptions. Willie Mays, his glove where triples go to die. Curveball inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out. 1-1, bottom of the third. He didn't get it. A breaking ball. Willie Wilson is out on strikes. That's the first strikeout for Ruthven.
The second baseman, Frank White.
It looks like the Philly staff has been trying to throw hard stuff in on Willie Wilson when they get ahead, push him back off the plate, and come back with a breaking ball. It's the second breaking ball inside that Ruthven threw to Wilson, and another strikeout.
Ruthven in 1980 averaged 3.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. 3 walks per 9 innings. As he faces Frank White, who bounced out third to first his first time up. Strike 1. There is Frank's wife, Gladys White. The little guy was really munching. Mike Schmidt has it in time. So it's 3 up and 3 down for the Kansas City Royals. And as we complete 3 innings of play here, the score, we are tied. Philadelphia 1 and Kansas City 1. Bob Boone talking about his dad, Ray Boone.
And I think his father's back in Philadelphia babysitting with Mom. Boy, could he hit. Was he an RBI man?
Good man. I saw them both in Philadelphia. Wife Sue is here. Bob Boone's wife is here. What a great gal she is. There's the strike. The reason she's here is to watch the game, but she's also a television star. They had a tug of war between the Phillies wives and the Kansas City wives. Fastball is inside. And I tell you, it was quite a battle. You'll see it next Thursday night on Games People Play. And all of the husbands were out here rooting them on. Came out early. Larry Boa had quite a line about that. Ball gets by, although it's called a strike. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Boa, watching him in a tug of war, hollered to the wives, listen, this is like a doubleheader. You lose the first one, we'll win the second one. Of course, realizing what was most important. It's good. Next Thursday night, you'll see it. I'm not going to tell you who won. I know. But you'll have to watch it.
You better know.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Bob Boone. Didn't mean to swing. Little excuse me. Coming down hard. Otis, he's there. 1 out.
He doesn't get enough credit for the fine center fielder he's been down through the years for Kansas City. He's got a good arm, good speed. He plays deeper than Gary Maddox. He doesn't have quite the confidence going back on the ball, but you can see the range he's got coming in, so he doesn't fear that looper falling in.
Amos Otis. 1 man out. Here is Lonnie Smith. He singled to open the ball game, and he hit the ball that drove in Manny Trio. Fouls it back, strike one. He hit it back to Gale. Gale decided to go to first, got Smith, but Trio scored. A 1-run for Kansas City, a home run by George Brett, his first time up.
Philadelphia's had opportunities. Through the first 3 innings, they have stranded 7 base runners. They've had chances like Kansas City did in game 2.
1 ball and 1 strike. What a sight. Royal Stadium, part of the Harry S. Truman Sports Complex. 2 balls and a strike. Right center field. Amos Otis is going back. He has room. He's got it. He had him played perfectly. He was there in right center field. He didn't expect him to pull, and he didn't. Two outs, nobody on. Brings up Pete Rose.
The first baseman, Pete Rose.
And there's young Petey Rose.
You talked to him before the ball game. I said, hey, how's it feel to have your dad in another World Series? You know what he said?
Wow.
You'll win the MVP again. Got about as much confidence as Dad, doesn't he?
Frank White over to first. 3 up, 3 down. Easy inning for Rich Gale and the Kansas City Royals. We go to the bottom half of the 4th inning. The score here, it's Philadelphia 1, the Royals 1. And 2 up for the Kansas City Royals. America, the pilot, Captain John Moran. There you see it over Royal Stadium. Impressive sight as George Brett steps into the batter's box. He hit the home run in the first to give him a lead. Phillies tied it with a run in the second. George Brett. 4 hits in his last. Foul ball out of play. He has 4 hits in a row after that home run in the first. The record is 6. Goose Goslin in 1924. Thurman Munson in 1976. Brett has 4 in a row.
This man is at 7 home runs in 20 postseason games. That is impressive.
One ball, 1 strike. Jim Fry, can't say enough about him as manager. He said he could get good wood on an aspirin. There is Jim Fry's wife, Joan Fry. It's popped up. It is playable. Mike Schmidt calling for it. 1 out, foul territory.
Stayed inside on that time, didn't they, Tom? Ball jam him a little bit, do you think?
I believe they're trying to stay inside on Brett. I think Ruthen, the first time up, got the ball down and in, which was a mistake. I think the first time when he hit the home run, it was a mistake. And I think they're trying to pump him hard stuff up and in.
Aikens, here he goes with that foul line once again. It has been completely rubbed out. I don't know how they can tell. We saw Bill Kunkel pull out the tape measure. Fouled out of play, strike 1. One to score. He is really deep in that box. That's what happened in the earlier games. And there's Kunkel with the tape measure. Left field, this is going to be a tough play. Cannot get it. Willie Mays Aikens will really be digging as Smith dives, misses it. Aikens is digging for third. Head first slide, triple.
Aikens was really lumbering on this play. Pitch from Ruthven about middle of the plate. He hit it the opposite way. He isn't getting around on their fastball. He tries for the backhanded catch. All the way to the wall. Here it is again. For a lot of guys, that would have been inside the park home run. In fact, most. But he's got that bad knee after the surgery. He just couldn't make it.
So here is Hal McRae with Amos Otis on deck. Line drive, base hit. Kansas City leads 2-1. Like the Phillies crowd, they're rooting their ball club on. These Phillies have been coming from behind. These Kansas City Royals say, well, we're going to show you something, and listen to this crowd.
And that's pretty important for McRae and Kansas City. It's his first RBI in these 3 ball games.
1 out. It is a strike. With that triple, he had 2 home runs in the first game. He has 12 total bases, 4 base hits, some kind of production. Strike. Ruthven trailing by a run. 2-1. Kansas City has just taken the lead with 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th. Otis checking with McKenzie.
McRae at first, held by Rose. The outfielder playing Otis to right center. He's been hitting the ball to right center a lot more this year. Look at the gap in left center field. Maddox shallow once again toward right center. McBride right on down toward the line. He's got a big hole between Trio and Rose to shoot through.
Boone and Ruthven having trouble getting together. Foul ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out.
You know, Tony, one thing I'm surprised about in this game is the 2 teams with pretty good speed have not done more running than they've done. They sat over there, they sat on first base, they've had opportunities, situations to utilize their speed. Both teams seem to be a little conservative. Both managers seem to have pulled back and are a little on the conservative side.
Dallas Green, who talks like if the Phillies win it all, he will not be back as a field manager. 2 balls and 2 strikes. He just simply says, I do not choose to be a professional field manager.
He did say if they make a few deals that he likes and the team strengthens in a certain area, he could be back. He was head of their player personnel department, bringing kids to the minor leagues.
McRae's at first. Otis, 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2-1, Kansas City leading.
No pitch. Time was called by the, well, it was the second base umpire, the home plate umpire, but both hands went up. There's Jimmy Fried.
We got a little cat and mouse game going on between Amos Otis and Dick Ruthven now. They're playing a little bit of one-upmanship. I'm not in any hurry to get in the box. And Ruthven saying, if you're not in any hurry to get in the box, I'm not in any hurry to throw. And then Otis will step out.
There goes the runner. High chopper. Trio's only play will be to first base. It is in time.
He had the right man covering and had the right thought, Otis did. He had Trio covering, but Ruthven made the good pitch. Might have been a sinker ball down and in that Otis could not get to right field. He made a good pitch on this, Tom.
Good pitch. He drove it right in the ground. And one of the things that still amazes me when you look at Manny Trio's arm. Look at that arm.
Watch Otis go after this pitch. Well, I guess it was away. It wasn't down and in, but it sunk. May have taken something off it. But he did do a job by starting the runner. Prevented a double play.
Here is Clint Hurdle. He hit no force play his first time up. It's a strike. Janet Marie Hurdle rooting him on. Pulls it, trio. Kind of a tricky hop, but in time. That ends the inning, but a triple by Aikens, a single by McRae, and as we complete 4 innings of play, it is now Kansas City 2 and Philadelphia Phillies 1. And coming up in the 5th inning, it'll be Mike Schmidt, Bake McBride, and Keith Moreland. And we'll be back after these messages from your local station.
On Chips, Ponch and John help a young Indian boy protect wildlife from deadly poachers and learn his heritage.
Oh, we're friendly.
A special family episode Sunday.
Beaver and Tony Kubek back in Royal Stadium with a very picturesque shot. We're in Kansas City for game number 3, the 1980 World Series. The Phillies have won the first 2. Now it'll be Rich Gale pitching to Schmidt, McBride, and Moreland. For the Royals, 2 runs on 4 hits and no errors. The Phillies thus far, 1 run, 5 hits and no errors. Schmidt walked in the first, and then with the bases loaded in the second, he flied high to left center field. One of those just missed pitch. Rich Gale has settled down. He retired 4 in a row, 3 up, 3 down in the 4th, 1 strike.
Last inning was his best inning, Tony. He's thrown 66, now 67 pitches. Last inning retired 3 in a row, just threw 8 pitches.
1 strike to count to Schmidt. Breaking pitch misses outside, 1-1. Gale has had some shoulder problems, not uncommon among pitchers, but he had a hot streak during the course of the year. Won 11 straight games this season. Misses inside, looked like a breaking ball. 2 balls and 1 strike with nobody out. Royals 2, Phillies 1. We're in the top of the 5th.
You know, for a pitcher like Gale, he started out 0-5. Tony ended up 13-9. Those 11 decisions he reeled off in the middle of the summer. He pitched awfully well for these Royals.
Drilled deep. The left field. It is high in the air toward the bullpen. Willie Wilson. It is tied up at 2. Mike Schmidt hits a home run very high into the bullpen for the Phillies in left field.
Seems like these Phillies really can't get going until they get behind. George Brett's home run in the 1st inning gave the Royals a lead. Phillies came back, top of the 2nd.
Well, they were behind in every game in the league championship series against Houston, and they won 3.
Schmidt just missed a home run the last time at bat on almost exactly the same kind of pitch. Willie Wilson goes all the way back to the wall, but no luck on this one, Willie. Fastball, and it's even 2-2. Willie looks like a little kid outside the schoolyard.
Bake McBride, 1 for 2 in the ball game. With 1 strike and the score tied at 2 here in the 5th. Slider foul back. Gale way ahead, 0-2. Jimmy Fry, who coached under Earl Weaver, Baltimore Orioles. He's had a few guys gone into the manager's job. Billy Hunter, George Bamberger, Frank Robinson had a managerial job. May get another, should get another. There he is, Mike Schmidt. Hit the home run to tie it at 2 here in the 5th for the Phillies. 0-2. Moves him back. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tom, I've heard this. I don't know if it's true or not. They say that to get a young pitcher to throw inside and move guys off the plate is one of the hardest things to teach.
If it's not a natural instinct, if a pitcher is not naturally aggressive and won't do it, it's a very difficult thing to teach. There's a good example of what you can do when you throw inside. Gale came inside to McBride. On the pitch before that went away, and McBride couldn't get to it. That thought lingers in a hitter's mind when you do go back inside.
So it's strikeout number 3 for Rich Gale, and it'll bring up Keith Moreland, who's flied out and struck out. Score tied at 2 in the 5th. Breaking ball misses, 1-0.
Peter Bruin report to the fan accommodations room, please.
It's not a new experience for Moreland. He DH'd in the minor leagues. Base hit left field. So on a 1-ball, no-strike pitch, Moreland's on with 1 out.
The center fielder, Gary Maddox.
There you see Cindy Moreland. Man just got a base hit, but she's used to it.
Out comes Jimmy Fry now to have a word with his pitcher, Rich Gale. Porter and Brett will join in the conference. We've got a 2-2 ball game here in the top of the 5th with 1 out. Moreland's at first base. He does not have good speed, and Maddox is the hitter. This telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball. As Gale leaves, Rennie Martin appears to be the pitcher coming in. And while there's a break in the action, we'll finish that disclaimer later. We're going to leave you here in the 5th with a score tied at 2.
This late, we're in Kansas City at Royal Stadium, midway through the 5th inning of Game 3 of the World Series. We've got a 2-2 ball game. Royal scored on a home run by Brett, a triple by Akins, and a single off the bat of Hal McRae. Phillies have earned their 2 runs on 2 mistakes by Rich Gale, 1 mental, 1 physical. The physical was a fastball out over the plate that Mike Schmidt drove for a home run. The mental was a bases-loaded situation, 1 out, 1 hopper back to Gale. He went to first base, the run scored. So we're set at 2, and Jim Fry has decided he's seen enough of Rich Gale. Rennie Martin is the new pitcher. Tony?
All right, thank you, Bryant. Rennie Martin and Tom, he was in one other ball game in this championship series. Run him down for
In
him.
relief for the first game, Tony, he pitched 4 innings, gave up 5 hits, and struck out 1 and walked 1. During the season, he was 10-10 for the Royals with a 4.39 ERA.
Well, with 1 out and Moreland at first, he'll face Gary Maddox, who's grounded out twice in this ball game. He has an excellent curveball when he can control it. His fastball can be spotty. If he gets the curveball over the plate, that fastball looks a lot better. They can't sit on it. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 out. Score tied at 2. We're in the top of the 5th. Moreland, and I guess you should never use an absolute, not much of a stolen base there. Does not run well, but let's see what happens. Ground ball, tough play by Brett. UL Washington flips, not in time. The Phillies have runners on first and second with 1 out, and it'll be Manny Trio, who is 2 for 2 in the ball game.
Second baseman, Manny Trio.
He covers a lot of ground. Moreland able to get a pretty good jump. See, UL threw off balance. Really couldn't get a whole lot on that throw, and so it's a safe at second, a base hit for Maddox, and Martin is a little deeper in the hole.
And Joe, I'm not saying that Brett might have had a shot at that ball, but playing as shallow as he has been with his problem, he said he would have gotten 2 balls back in game number 2. He might have had a shot at that at normal depth. Now it's Trio. 1-run home, a Schmidt home run, ground ball, 1 hop. White to UL Washington. They get Trio at first base. Double play helps out Rennie Martin and the Royals. But the Phillies on Mike Schmidt's home run leading off this inning have tied the ball game at 2 apiece. Back here in Royal Stadium with Kansas City coming to bat. The beautiful Harry S. Truman Sports Complex. Kansas City Chiefs play right outside that fence. A beautiful ballpark. Ruthven in a 2-2 ball game, facing Porter, Washington, and Wilson. Too high, 1 ball. Porter grounded out to short, unassisted. His only other time up. Chopper off the end of the bat. Good sinker by Ruthven. 1-0 count. They get Porter. Well, we're going to start it all over again and get through it. This telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited. 2-2, bottom of the 5th, 1 out. UL Washington. He lined to left center field. Maddox positioning him perfectly. Too high for a ball. Kansas City scored first in this ball game, when in the first inning, first time at bat for George Brett in this ball game. He had a home run. 1-1. Kansas City scored another run in the fourth inning on a triple by Akins. McRae with a single to right center field. Philadelphia, as we look at the on-deck man, Willie Wilson. Philadelphia with a run in the second. Mike Schmidt tied it in the fifth with a home run. 2 balls and 1 strike to UL Washington.
Tony, they just announced the crowd, press box here, 42,380. And the stadium facts in the book say that the seating capacity is 40,628. They got a few shoehorns working tonight.
2-1. Right center field. Maddox with that great speed. He just outruns the ball.
Last time that Washington batted, you remember he lined one to left center field. This time he pulled it into right center field, but that speed by Maddox able to get over there and plug the gap. Good play.
Maddox has an interesting theory. He plays so shallow because he has confidence going back as Wilson steps in, but he also says because he can see the catcher's signs, not the numbers, but where he places his hand, whether he wants the ball inside or outside. If the pitcher positions the ball correctly, he gets a better jump. 2 outs. Wilson slices it down the left field line, foul. Willie has struck out 6 times in this championship series. Grounded out first time today, struck out in the third.
Do I envy Gary Maddox if he can see the catcher move his hands from center field? That's some pair of eyes.
But you know, when Booney gives the sign, we'll see it, and then he gives the position he wants to pitch in. Watch. Well, he didn't do it that way, did he? No, he did another one. He didn't do it. Sometimes he'll slap the inner or the outer thigh for location. 1-1. What do you use, Tom?
We use number signs, but the catcher normally will flash inside or outside, and the center fielder can see that.
Some guys
see which way the catcher wants the ball, on the left side of the plate or the right side of the plate, and that certainly will help the outfield.
1-1 to Wilson. Pull the string, he's got him. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Used to be that an infielder would flash it. There is Kathy Wilson. Kathy, of course, Willie Wilson's wife. Used to be an infield. If you hit the glove was one thing. If you saw the glove was something else, or different things that they did. But better eyesight these days.
Seems like they've been ahead, the Phillies staff, of Wilson this entire 3 games. Check swing, chop foul. Gardy McKenzie, the third base coach for the Royals. Entire new coaching staff and manager here. Kansas City, Jose Martinez, of course, at first. You've seen him during the course of the first 2 ball games. Billy Connors, the pitching coach. Jim Schaefer, the bullpen coach. 2-2 ball game. We're in the bottom of the 5th. Phillies with 8 hits. They've stranded 8 runners. Royals with just 4. He blew it right by him inside once again. They are overpowering Willie Wilson in this series so far. He has struck out 7 times. So 3 up, 3 down for Ruthven here in game number 3 of this World Series with the score, the Phillies 2 and the Royals 2. First man up in this game number 3 of the World Series, Pete Rose, all ready to hit. He'll come up 4th this inning. Should Boa, Boone, or Smith get on base? Ready, Martin. Boa, 1 strike. Brett in tight at 3rd. Boa. Akins in tight at 1st. Base hit up the middle for Larry Boa. So the Phillies have speed on first base, and Boone coming to the plate.
Without even waiting for a sign, I think if he gets by the first pitch, that is, if Boone doesn't hit it, I think they'd put a hit-and-run play on because he just serves this ball.
That's a bad pitch to Larry Boa. You got to pitch Boa hard stuff away the way they did the last time up, make him hit the ball on the ground to the other side. Martin threw an off-speed pitch, which is the pitch Boa can pull, and they play the outfield around the left field.
Boa stole a base in game number 1. Snap throw over, not in time. That I thought really excited this Phillies ball club. When 4 runs down to Leonard, he stole second base surprisingly. Pitch out. Boone had not squared around a bunt. So now Reddy Martin is 1 ball, no strikes, no outs. Boa's at first. He is a good base stealer. He's lost a few steps in the last couple of years, but still is very quick.
Porter's in the box right now. He pitched out on the first pitch, and Elia at third base, and Boone really went through a great charade. And you saw that close-up of Boa. He acted it out perfectly.
1 ball, no strikes. Boa's off. Fly ball, left center field. Boa picks it up. He won't be decoyed. Amos Otis has got it in left center field. 1 out.
I don't know what you call it, but in a spot like that, as soon as he got on, the first thing that triggered in my mind, second pitch. If it's 2 balls and 1 strike, managers go, and then from the 6th inning on, the favorite spot becomes the second pitch.
Now it's Lonnie Smith, so you've got speed at the plate in Lonnie Smith and speed on the bases in Boa in this 2-2 ball game. Boa, during the regular season, had 21 steals, was caught 6 times. Smith is single, grounded out, but he drove home a run, an RBI, and flied to center. Hit the ball pretty hard to right center field that Amos Otis hauled in near the warning track. Curveball missed outside. 1 ball. Freddie Martin, he relieved Rich Gale in the 4th. That same situation as you had with Boone. 1 ball, no strikes, except for there's 1 out now. So Boa could be going again. He's not. Inside, he jammed him, but he fought it off. He's got a base hit to center field. Boa had thoughts of trying it, but then when he saw Amos Otis charging the ball very hard, he came back quickly. So 2 men on for the Phillies.
One thing the Phillies are noted for is running the bases very aggressively, even though they have not run stealing-wise as much in this series as I would have expected. But there you see a very aggressive turn by Larry Boa. Amos Otis in center field flipped that ball right back into second base, keeping Boa from going to third.
Billy Connors out once again to talk to his pitcher, this time Rennie Martin. So they're going to go over with Rennie Martin, a fairly young pitcher, how they're going to work on Pete Rose with 1 out, 2 men on. 2-2 the score. We're in the top of the 6th. Marty Patton, a right-hander. Jeff Twitty, a left-hander.
One thing that Martin had trouble with, Joe, in the first game that he relieved over in Philadelphia, as being a curveball pitcher, was not being able to establish his curveball that he could throw it for strikes. That's Billy Connors, the Royals pitching coach. And again here tonight, he's not been able to establish that he can get his curveball over. And hitters, if they can sit on 1 pitch, if they can sit on your fastball, they're going to hurt you.
Mike Schmidt on deck. Petey Rose outside the on-deck circle. His dad is hitting. He struck out, walked, and grounded out. 2 men on, 1 out. 1 strike.
Pete Rose has seen 11 pitches so far tonight, and they've all been fastballs. Has not seen anything off speed, any breaking ball, any changeups. And the majority of those fastballs that Pete have seen have been inside.
Rose still looking for his World Series first hit. This World Series anyway. He blew it by. 2 strikes to Rose. That's Boa at the bottom of your screen at second base. He led this inning off with a single, then Boone flied out. Smith single to center field, so they've got great speed on the bases. He threw it by him, so Rose goes down for the 2nd time in this ball game.
Rennie Martin, who is not considered an overpowering pitcher, that was the Jux gun down below, had that fastball at 88 miles an hour.
It is relative because with Rennie Martin's curveball, if he's getting it over as he has a couple of times, that fastball looks that much more overpowering. Rose was late. 2 outs, 2-2 ball game. Top of the 6th. Rennie Martin with a tough man to get out once again. He homered his last time up to tie the ball game at 2. Mike Schmidt walked in the 1st and just missed the pitch in the 2nd. Good curveball. 1 strike. His curveball breaks more down than on a flat plane, so it is almost equally effective against right or left-handed hitters. There are your base runners. Boa at 2nd, Lonnie Smith at 1st.
And with Porter out there making sure they are together, I'm sure that between innings, when they sit there, the Kansas City Royals do, they know the importance of this game. Amos Otis said it takes 4 nails to put that lid on the coffin. They only have 2. Lose this ball game, and the fact that no team has ever come back from having lost 3 that'll be in their minds, and I'll guarantee you that they're thinking about the importance of this one right here.
1 strike to Mike Schmidt. 2 men on base for the Phillies with 2 outs in a tie ball game. He overthrew a fastball, almost got over the head of Porter. 1-1. Well, Schmidt made the comment that he would hit some balls hard in this championship series. He's hit 2 pretty well so far today. 1 for a home run, 1 for an out. Hit that triple in Philadelphia to right center field off Quisenberry. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He is throwing fairly hard. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 out. Dallas Green.
Dallas Green in the Philly dugout. That Jugs gun behind home plate had that fastball 89 miles an hour, which is not considered overpowering now.
But when you match it with his curveball, that he got over the first pitch to Schmidt,
right.
Here's a
may
big
look
pitch.
a lot faster than the guy who throws 95 consistently. 1-2 with 2 outs. Schmidt against Martin. Curveball. He just missed outside.
You can see Porter move outside on that pitch. He wanted Martin to drop that curveball on the outside corner. He moved out extremely early. You see Porter going outside. He wants a curveball away from Schmidt. Doesn't want to give him anything to jerk, be able to pull down the line. Porter can't believe it's not a strike.
That was a pitcher's pitch right there that at times you will get. Jim Fry, the Kansas City manager, Rennie Martin in trouble. Phillies have stranded 8 base runners through the first 5 innings. 2-2 pitch, ground ball. UL Washington, it is close. But he just got Lonnie Smith with that great speed on the flip to White. So now the Phillies have stranded 10 base runners through 6 innings. The score here in Royal Stadium, Kansas City, Phillies 2, Royals 2. Look at UL. This will show you the great speed of Lonnie Smith. They barely got Smith. Second base umpire Dutch Rennert with his nose right on the bag. Kansas City, game number 3. Phillies have a 2-0 lead over the Royals. The fans are starting to hoot a little bit here in Kansas City as we've got a tie ball game in the bottom of the 6th. It'll be Frank White. He's grounded out to third base twice. Dick Ruthven. Fouled out of play, 1 strike. White, 0 for 2 tonight. At one time, they never thought he would hit at all. But he has worked very hard. Charlie Lau has worked with him a lot. Always been outstanding defensively. 1 strike pitch to Frank. Too high, 1-1. In fact, Frank White grew up within a block of the old Kansas City Stadium. Went to a tryout camp with about 600 other kids over a 2-day period. Then was sent to Mr. Ewing Kaufman's baseball academy. He was the first graduate. There have been more. UL Washington, Rodney Scott at Montreal, about 10 or 11 who made the major leagues. Popped up out of play. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Frank White. Dick Ruthven from our center field camera doing a little rubbing up of the ball. You might have heard the controversy. Tom, you can tell us about it. In game number 2 with Carlton and the slippery ball.
Carlton had a lot of trouble with the slickness on the balls. Evidently, they were not rubbed up correctly. Didn't have the right kind of mud to rub them up. Strikeout for Dick Ruthven.
Well, let's go down right now with a pretty good friend and manager, Whitey Herzog, with our colleague Merle Harmon.
Thank you, Tony. Whitey, of course, managed the Royals. He managed the Cardinals this year, became general manager. Whitey, I asked you earlier if you would go back to the field and manage. We talked about if you got the right guy. We have confirmation you have the right guy, Joe McDonald from the Mets. Does that mean you're going to be general manager?
Well, actually, Joe and I are very good friends. We worked together a long time with the Mets. I'm going to make an announcement next Friday. I'm not going to tell you, Merle, what I'm going to do, but I'm going to let the World Series get over and let the Cardinals have some headlines.
But you say you're not going to say, though, that you're not going back, right?
I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
Deep to right center field by George Brett, but he got under it. Maddox will go to the warning track, almost pushed to the wall. Well, they get Brett. He is homered, fouled out, and just missed, as Schmidt did earlier. Gary Maddox hauling it in. Well, heard a rumor, may not be a rumor around the batting cage today, that Joe McDonald has already signed a 3-year contract. Will do the paperwork for Whitey Herzog, and Herzog will manage on the field.
I think the only thing that may be in limbo is how long McDonald is signed for. But McDonald is general manager, and Whitey will be back as the manager of the Cardinals.
George Brett It's Willie Mays Aikens who grounded out, hit a triple and scored. In fact, that triple in the fourth was the first triple in Willie Aikens' career, Major League career. He was then driven home by McRae in the fourth.
There they go again with that back foot. It's a very tough rule to enforce. We've been talking to all the umpires. Bill Kunkel, Ron Luciano off the thing. We've been talking to him about it. I don't know why they can't enforce it.
2 outs. He can't see it. That's why he can see it before the pitch is on the way. And Ronnie, you tell us.
Well, the thing is, you just can't see it.
Why?
The reason you can't see it is because you're watching the ball come into the plate. Now, how can he look down right there? How could he take his eyes off of the pitch and look at the back foot? You'd never see the pitch come in. The catcher would say, where's the pitch? And you'd say, well, I didn't see the pitch, but his foot was in the box.
1 ball, 1 strike to Aikens with 2 outs and the score tied at 2 in the bottom of the 6th. Well, let's watch it. Pryor, focusing on the pitcher, popped up on a play.
Ron, let me ask you, have you ever seen it called? Did you ever call it? And have you ever seen it called?
Yes, but never the back foot. I can call it when he steps his front foot out of the box, because then he comes in your line of vision. And then you're looking at the pitcher, you're watching the plate, you're watching the ball come in, and you can see that front foot go out of the box. That's been called. Hank Aaron got a home run taken away from him because his front foot was out of the box. But there's no way you can see that back foot if he moves it, while the pitcher right now, if he moves it back, no one can tell.
Count goes 2 balls, 2 strikes, and there are 2 outs here in Kansas City. We're in the last of the 6th with the score tied at 2. Phillies with 10 hits, Royals with 4. Kansas City through 5 have left 2 men on base, but like the Royals did in game number 2 in Philadelphia when they stranded 11, through 6 innings, Philadelphia has already left 10 men on base. 2-2. He got it by him inside, but he fouls it out of play. Boone, you know, look at Boone right here. The mask. He does not wear that little underhanging device from the mask I was talking about. He's got an old-style mask. The only catcher that wears the old-style mask in the big leagues these days, and he says they can't get it riveted on to dangle down. I got to believe they can find some way to drill holes in there and hang that thing down. He really took a shot right between the collarbones and the throat. 2-2. 3-2 to Willie Mays Aikens.
You don't want to do, Tony, is to get to a power hitter and run to a situation where it's 3-2, where you give the hitter the edge. We talked about the other night. But this is a situation with 2 outs. You've got to believe that Willie Mays Aikens is going to sit on a fastball, and you got to think that Ruthven is going to throw it because it's his best pitch. He doesn't want to put a runner on base.
Ruthven has retired 7 in a row, 3-2 pitch. He went breaking ball.
And he went away from it. Exactly right.
He got Aikens on a 3-2 breaking pitch. So we're through 6 innings in game number 3 here in Kansas City with the score: Phillies 2, Royals 2. And
here is Beck McBride. 2-10-0 Phillies, 2-4-0 Royals. Straight away center field, should be an easy out for Amos Otis. 1 out. A lot of baseball people here in attendance, and I know I ran into George Steinbrenner, Cedric Tallis, and Gene Michaels was in Philadelphia, Bill Burgage. They're looking for a big trade. Haywood Sullivan, I asked him about the manager, and he said, well, we'll probably do it after the World Series. And you heard Whitey Herzog and Merle Harmon. It looks like Whitey will probably be the guy. He'll still be, as far as players are concerned, with Joe McDonald handling the paperwork while Whitey manages, and I guess we'll have a title of general manager, but Joe will do the paperwork and Whitey will do the trading. Here's the pitch. It is high. Ball 1 to Keith Moreland. Two balls and no strikes, a curveball. Moreland, 1 for 3. There's his strike. Rennie Martin. Royals need this one badly. The Phillies They say we want it just as bad. Off the end of the bat, 2 balls and 2 strikes, breaking ball. Rosenbach, now Martin rubs it up. That mud that Tom Seaver was talking about as we look at the Phillies bench, it's not inexpensive. It's $100 a can. So you talk about inflation, but it's special mud.
You're not talking about a big can, you're talking about a coffee can size. Comes from the Delaware River, New Jersey. Nina Blackburn.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Straight away center field. Otis is right there. Easy play, one-hand grab. So they're 2 away, and it brings up Gary Maddox. I tell you, when I come to a World Series, and I'm sure I'm no different than most baseball fans, there's just so many thoughts run through your mind. You think about the Royals, they're down by 2. I remember Roberto Clemente, the great Clemente, saying when he left Baltimore, we're going to win it, when he took him back to Pittsburgh. It's high, ball 1. He literally took charge. He said it, and then he let his bat and his glove do the talking. 1 ball, 1 strike. They'll choose a most valuable player, as they always do. Who will it be? There are a number of people. Rennie Martin, 1 ball, 1 strike. Right field. There it is in right field, and Roberto Clemente would have made a basket catch. And so at the end of the top of the 7th, we're tied at 2-2, and a flashback with the great Roberto Clemente. And it's a...
As always, the Pirates' leader was Roberto Clemente. Professionally phenomenal, personally peerless, a special person who received a special and overwhelming selection to baseball's Hall of Fame.
There's a strike to Hal McRae. Hal McRae, Amos Otis, and Clint Hurdle. Ruthven is struck out 4. He has not walked a man. He has retired the last 8 that he has faced. Bouncing ball. Schmidt has it. 9 in a row.
Unofficially, that I've got the 10th ground ball out that Ruthven has thrown, so he must be sinking the ball pretty well, Tom.
Throwing the ball extremely well, Tony. I talked to Bob Boone before the game. He said Ruthven, since the All-Star break, has pitched as well as anybody on the staff and as consistently as anybody on the staff, including Steve Carlton. He'd come back from elbow surgery, took the bone chips out of his elbow, didn't pitch too well early. And then once those summer months, those warm months came around, they said he's pitched as well as anybody for the Philadelphia Phillies. Would have been a 20-game winner had he been able to pitch a little bit longer in the spring in some of the games he was in.
There's the first pitch and a strike 1. Here's Amos Otis, who said earlier, well, yesterday, hey, we've played the last 3 games where nobody has cheered for us. But tonight it's a different story. Fans are a factor. It used to be they would just write about fans as being intimidators of officials and what have you. But it's a positive side now. Philly fans in Philadelphia, here in Kansas City, same thing. 1 ball and 1 strike, 1 out. We're in the bottom of the 7th, all tied, 2 apiece.
He got the ball away and up and let Otis extend his arms.
Otis likes the ball up and out over the plate right there. Good power to the opposite field. It's amazing. Ruthven, only 9 home runs all year long. He's given up 2 in this game.
They want him to come out. The fans will not stop. They want him to come out, Amos Otis. One to count on Hurdle. There you see Amos Otis. What a series he's having. He is 7 for 12, 2 home runs, 5 runs batted in. He's got 7 putouts in this game. Record for an outfielder is 8. Roush and George Foster, both of Cincinnati. He's done it all. There's Willie Mays Aikens. Next to him saying we're going to do it. And there's a strike to Hurdle. This Kansas City club is fired up. They have to be. Big, big game. Lose this one, you can almost hear the hammer hit the nails on that 4th one. Line drive, base hit.
Don't know, Tom, if it's a sign of time, but he was up to that pitch also to Hurdle.
Second pitch in a row, he's gotten up and out over the plate, Tony. Throwing about 88 pitches, Paul Moscow tells me now. My statistician on my right-hand side here. A lot of fastballs tonight. The radar gun downstairs has him about 87, 88 miles per hour.
Apparently Dallas Green thinks he's all right. That bullpen out there, they look like a choir. They're just sitting out there, nothing happening. I got Darrell Porter.
I got to believe Booney's out to tell him one thing. If you're going to try and sink that ball, you better get downstairs a little more, not belt high like you've had the last few.
Kansas City leading 3-2. Bottom of the 7th. Out of play, strike 1. Home run by Brett, home run by Otis, triple and a single. The extra base hits.
Situation, Tony, you try to keep the ball away from Darrell Porter and hope he tries to pull it. If he does pull it, he put it right on the ground to the second baseman, Manny Trio.
Quick throw, he's back. Fouled out of play. Hit and run play. They try to stay away from the double play. Too many times people think of the hit and run play as an offensive play where it's a 1st and 3rd situation, but it's really a defensive play as far as the offense is concerned. I don't want to get that involved, but you want to stay away from the double play. That's what that's the purpose of the hit and run play. It's not to make a big inning, it's just to keep an inning going.
Hurdle, a likely guy to try and send in the steal situation. He doesn't run that well, about average. Trying to open a hole in that infield.
Two balls and 2 strikes. I always felt as a catcher that if they try a hit and run play before 2-2, that they would try it on 2-2 again, because it's obvious they're going to run on 3-2. So you're really spinning your wheels back there as Booney is doing. He's got to look for him to go on his pitch, hit and run play. Let's see what happens. Holding. Outside. And Darrell Porter in a tough situation. We look at the Kansas City bench. Jimmy Fry looking on. And there is Jimmy's mother. She looks pretty calm. He looks pretty nervous. Three and 2 the count. 1 out. There goes the runner. Strike 3. The throw is not in time. Stolen base for Hurdle.
He goes 3-2 breaking ball on him, doesn't he, Tom? And he got it upstairs. Booty comes up throwing on those bad knees. Larry Boa thinks he got a piece of him. Here comes Hurdle, Dutch Rennert, moving into perfect position. He's got it.
Second time in a row that he's gone to 3-2 and thrown the breaking ball. A good throw. If Booney gotten off a real good one, I think he'd have had him easily. He did tag him, but I think his foot was on the bag.
That replay showed that it was really strictly a hit-and-run play because he was trying to find the ball. That's his first stolen base of the season for Hurdle. Well, U.L. Washington, the batter, he was really looking back.
Not only that for Hurdle, it's his first attempt at a stolen base according to the official records. He may have been involved in hit and runs. There it is. He got him on the right hand, but as Dutch Renard points out, he had his foot on the bag.
U.L. Washington has hit the ball hard twice. Fouls this one out of play. Maddox in center field plays him in left center, and the first time up in the third inning, he had a line drive right at him. There you see the defense. And then the next time up, Maddox was playing right where he is right now in left center field. Washington hit it in right center field, but his great speed, Maddox was able to make the play. 1 strike, 2 outs, bottom of the 7th. Kansas City leading 3-2. Willie Wilson on deck. Fastball is high. Home run by George Brett, first, triple, single, fourth. There is Willie Wilson. You saw him on deck. Triple by Akins, a single by McRae, and a home run by Otis here in the 7th inning, the 3 runs. Schmidt, a big home run for the Philadelphia Phillies. They got their other run in the 2nd. There's Amos Otis, who hit the big home run.
Joe, as an infielder, you should have just one thing in mind in this situation. With 2 outs and a very important run at second base, you might move a little bit deeper, jockey back and forth to hold the runner close if you can, but play deep, and you've got to knock the ball down. You got to prevent that run from scoring. 2 outs.
2 balls and 1 strike to count on UL. High, 3-1.
Tony, your comment is exactly right. I think Ruther's getting tired, throwing a lot of high fastballs. Dallas Green has double action duty going down in the bullpen down there.
Bobby Wine, Herb Starrett, Dallas Green to the left of your screen. Phillies bench, they're down by 1.
3-1 pitch. It's pop foul. Schmidt near the stands. He'll have a play. He makes the play. So that ends the inning as UL Washington fouls out to Mike Schmidt. And Amos Otis, the hero of the day, there he is, his home run to right field. Broke the tie at the end of 7 complete innings. They officially some 40,000. About 2,300 real skinny people in here, I'll tell you that. Manny Trio, first pitch, left field, down the line. It is out of play. Trio scored a run in the 2nd inning. He doubled in the 3rd inning, hit into a double play in the 5th. Trio is 3 for 9 in the World Series. Popped up. High fly ball. Willie Wilson says, I'll take this one, Amos. 1 out. Otis has been a busy man. If Otis would have taken that, he would have tied Ed Roush and George Foster for putouts. Roush had 8 of them in 1919, George Foster in 1976. Larry Boa tries to hit it by Brett, who is near the line and in close.
Standard procedure for this late in the ball game, the close game, right on the line, take away the double.
How many times does an infielder do that to bait the guy, Tony?
You mean stay that close to the line or come in?
Come in.
Yeah, he may come in where the pitch is on the way. He may back up. So you take that bunt away from him when he sees you, because most hitters from the left side who can bunt like Bull, they look down at that third baseman. When they look away to pick up the pitch, you might sneak back.
1-1 pitch. Strike 2. Just as Brett, and you saw him guarding the line, Willie Wilson in left field guards the left field line.
Here's a good look at Martin's curveball, and they say that he's got as good a curveball at times as Bert Blyleven, who's over with the Pittsburgh Pirates now. And that, Tony, that's a downer. That goes straight down.
It's an optical illusion.
High chopper, going to be a tough play. Larry Boa, safe.
Play that was made right there is made by Willie Mays Aikens, because he came off that back. He is not the most mobile guy. There's Ruben Amaro talking to Boa. But if Aikens doesn't stop that ball from going in the corner, Boa's on at least second, probably third. Here it is again. Rennie Martin barehands it. Watch Aikens. Digs it out, stops it, because Clint Hurdle, the right fielder, was playing in right center field for Boa. He would have run all night.
Here's a view from the right field camera. Aikens making a very good play on that. Boa definitely would have ended up on third base.
That was his third base hit of the night, 3 for 4. They had a hit and run combine going last time with Boone batting. Boa, a good lead, 1 out. Holding outside, ball 1. Now here was the count that he went last time. That's the kind of thing that you try to clock, remember, and put in your own computer and say, hey, you ran on the second pitch. You see.
Both bullpens with a couple guys going right now.
Holding. It's a strike.
Philly bullpen, Ron Reed on the left, Warren Brewster on the right. Reed gave him a good, strong inning in game number 2, struck out 2 of 3.
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. 3-2, Kansas City leading. 8th inning. High.
Boa decoy.
Gave a good false start over at first base.
Watch Boa. He'll decoy, try and pull the third shortstop or second baseman out of position. Even though UL Washington nor Frank White moved, all you got to do is lean a little bit on this turf and the ball can get by you.
Here's the manager's delight, 2-1. He wanted to go. He was leaning. He put some pressure on the old shoestrings. Boa backs out. He wants to go. Remember, Billy Herman used to always say, on pitch outs and throws to first, I knew that they weren't really worried about any trick plays. Holding. Inside. Now he's in trouble.
He's got to make a good pitch now, Tom.
There's a young pitcher had pretty good confidence in that curveball with a 2-1 count, throwing a curveball to Booney. But Booney is a dead fastball hitter, but he's down to 3-1. He doesn't want to put the tying run down at second base and walk Booney.
3 balls, 1 strike, 1 out. Boa lead. There he goes. Center field. Amos Otis will tie the record with that catch. There it is, his 8th put out. Boa back at first. There you see him. He had a big home run, broke the 2-2 tie. He just goes into the record books along with Ed Roush of Cincinnati and George Foster of Cincinnati. And Boone has tried Amos Otis 3 different times. He flied out in the 4th to Otis, and the 6th to Otis, and the 8th to Otis. He's got to try somebody else, because I think Otis can catch it.
Chop down. Put it on the ground.
Lonnie Smith. 2 for 4. It's a strike of curveball. We call it a curveball, but I tell you, in the old neighborhood, you call that baby a drop. There's Pete Rose on deck. He likes to keep that bat clean because then he can see where the ball hit. He wipes it down all the time. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Smith taking a good look at Lee Elia. Elia is a very vibrant coach at third base. He's the guy that when Trio hit the triple against Houston, he didn't know what to do. He was hugging him so much, he finally ended up biting him on the arm. And it was a welt. 1-1 to count. 2 outs. There goes Boa. Porter can't hold it. Stolen base.
I'm not certain Darrell would have had a shot anyway. He got a good one to throw on. Fastball high and away. Watch Darrell pop out from behind home plate as Boa is moving.
He stayed too low in the crouch.
He never came out.
Never came out.
Here it is, Tommy.
Good jump by Larry Boa getting off there. Darrell Porter never had got his hand on the ball to throw it. Kept this. You got to get your hand on the ball before you can throw it. Larry Boa, I think, would have had it stolen anyway. Got a very good jump from first base. A tying run now at second base.
very beginning, Porter was having troubles. Never got out of that crouch. Here's a pitch outside.
You look at this infield now. They have really moved back. White is deep. Even though Lonnie Smith runs well, they're going to give him the chopper in the infield. Look at that. UL Washington deep at short. Frank White deep at second with 2 outs. Keep that ball in the infield. Give him the little chop single.
3-1 pitch with 2 outs. Tying run at second. Curveball. You talk about confidence in your curveball, and that's the sign of the good pitcher. When he can throw something besides the fastball when he's behind 3-1 or 2-0.
3-1, he throws a curveball, and the man on deck, if he doesn't get this over, is Pete Rose sitting over there coming up with a tying run at second base. That's a lot of confidence in a situation like that to throw the curveball.
Hit the bat. Would have been ball 4. That was a big, big pitch. And I'll tell you, if you were a scout, you'd have no question about Mr. Martin's heart.
Another situation of a crucial pitch, and he goes with the best one that he has, a curveball. The old philosophy, if I'm going to get beat, I'm going to get beat with my best pitch, the curveball.
3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. 8th inning. Royals leading 3-2. High, walked him. And that brings up Pete Rose. Mike Schmidt is on deck. I say that because Rose would not be immune to getting hit by a pitch or whatever.
All right, Tom, got to ask you. The left side, is Rose a good breaking ball hitter?
Pete Rose, a good off-speed breaking ball hitter.
I think
I think the Royals have found that out, and they've thrown him nothing but fastballs tonight and nothing but hard stuff inside. They'll go away occasionally. He struck out on a fastball away. But for the main part, they want to throw him hard stuff in. I think they found out very early that he can hit that off-speed and that breaking stuff.
Rose is 0 for 10 in this World Series. High, ball 1. Two outs. Smith is on at first base. Boa is on at second base. Good speed on the bases, and they'll be off with the crack of the bat. Fouled out of play. Tried to go to the opposite side. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs. Pete Rose.
I guess everybody knows how durable Pete Rose has been. He played all 162 games in this season, all the championship series games, but I got to believe, even as strong as he is, his bat has slowed down late this season.
That's why you see him. That's why you see him choking up so much too, Tony. That's the first time I've seen him choked up that far. It was the first year in my career that I've seen him choke up so far.
Line drive. There's his first base hit, and here comes a run across. Boa. Smith heads for third, and we're tied up once again. And Mike Schmidt is the batter.
Rose is not going to use that bat again because you can hear it shatter all the way up here. High and tight, it looked like, Tom.
Pete Rose is the one guy that was out here taking extra batting practice after the Phillies had gone in yesterday, working on hitting the ball to right field. Looked like he was trying to feed that ball out to right field. Another look at Rose with another angle. You can see how much he's choked up, turning that top hand over, pulling the ball to right field.
Tom, when you jam a guy like that and get it up, you can loop it to the outfield. But if he makes the pitch down a little bit, chances are that might have been a ground ball. It may have sneaked through.
So we're all tied up, and these Phillies continue to battle back. The Royals battle. We've got a dandy on our hands. We've got a break in the action. Mike Schmidt with base runners at first and third will be back. Oh, 3-3. Quisenberry loosening up. We'll pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
This is WMAQ-TV, Chicago.
Joe Garagiola with Tony Kubek, Tom Seaver. We've got a dandy going right here. Mike Schmidt, the batter.
The third baseman, Mike Schmidt.
Quisenberry, who was a pitcher in Philadelphia. He got 3 ground balls in his first inning and then really got jumped on. Threw nothing but fastballs, and that's all the Phillies were talking about. He is a sinker baller. Mike Schmidt with a tremendous home run in the 5th. He's 1 for 3. Bunt hits it down the third base line. Foul. How do you like that? 2 men out. Brett playing back, and Brett flips the ball up as if to say, what in the world is going on? But Lonnie Smith would have scored, and Schmidt has better than average speed. Quisenberry with that sinker ball gets a lot of ground balls.
He's a good guy to bunt off anything going down, coming into you, breaking ball. A little bit off speed. He doesn't throw that hard. Tries to score the run that way.
Brett had to come a long way, and you can see why. You know, they talk about background when certain guys are pitching. Pete Rose said about Quisenberry, he said he uses the rosin bag for a background.
What makes that bunt important now is because if you look down at George Brett at third, he's come in about 4 or 5 steps closer than the first pitch to Schmidt, which means a ground ball could sneak by him. Now he's backing off.
2 outs. Outside, looked like a breaking ball. He didn't throw any in Philadelphia.
All fastballs over in Philadelphia. There's a good shot at Brett moving in a little bit, but he'll back up before Quisenberry pitches. Last time Schmidt faced Quisenberry, got an inside, low and in fastball hit off the right field wall in Philadelphia.
Broken bat, Looper, Otis coming hard. He's there, makes the catch, and now he's got the record all to himself as he's got 9 putouts. And Quisenberry gets a big out. And there is Janie Quisenberry and the brand new baby. Mommy's happy, but the baby says, just let me sleep. Daddy's gonna be all right. Is that a beautiful baby?
For the Royals, one they need desperately to avoid falling behind 3-0. In games, we are tied at 3 as we start the bottom of the 8th. Phil's got 2 off Rich Gale, 1 more off Remy Martin. As they've done throughout this series, they've come from behind. But on the minus side, Philadelphia has stranded 12 runners. That is odd, especially when you consider that through the first 2 games, they only stranded 9. As for the Royals, their 4 power boys continue to produce. George Brett and Amos Otis with solo home runs. Willie Aikens and Hal McRae combining for the other run. The problem for Kansas City has been that they are getting nothing out of Willie Wilson. He is 1 for 12 with 7 strikeouts, hitting just .083 as he steps in against Dick Ruthven. Joe?
Okay, Brian. Bill Kunkel came all the way in from right field to tell Paul Pryor something. Couldn't have been too important. He's going back out there. We're ready to go. Willie Wilson. Brian's told you, not doing much. Takes a strike. And the bullpen, Tug McGraw loosening up for the Philadelphia Phillies. They'll have McBride, Moreland, and Maddox. Their batters in the 9th. We're tied 3 apiece. Quick throw. Wilson is out.
Second baseman, Frank White.
1 out, and Frank White is the batter. White bounced out twice and struck out. It back, and it's strike 1. Dallas Green looking on. He feels some of the pressure, obviously, but he's leading by 2. And George Brett, the on-deck batter, he got him off with a home run in the 1st. Royals have to feel more pressure. Foul ball. They are trailing in this series 2 games to none.
Joe, we've talked about the Phillies coming back in the games that they played so far, and even throughout this game, every time that the Royals have scored, the Phillies have come back in the very next half of an inning and tied the game right back up. The Royal pitchers have not been able to hold the Phillies.
White, disgusted as he is out on strike, 6 strikeouts for Ruthven.
The third baseman.
Talking about coming from behind as George Brett comes up, but listen to his hand. George Brett, he's the man for these fans who dresses in the telephone booth. They're tied. Line drive, base hit. George
upstairs again. I think Brett and Rod Carew in the American League get the good part of the bat on the ball more than any others. Brett ran very well from home plate to second base. Gary Maddox with him. Ball in quickly.
Brett, a double in the first inning, hit a home run. And that really got these fans going. Here it is.
Off-speed pitch. Off-speed pitch from Ruthven. First time up today. Got it down to the strike zone and low. George waited on it well.
Brett, there he is. 5 for his last 6 times at bat. Side, ball 1. Minor surgery yesterday. Here he is. 2 outs. Aikens. It's 2 home runs and a triple to his credit in this World Series. George Brett, he'll have to score from second base on a single, and he said he's never slid head first, but he might have to break it out tonight. There's a strike. He told his manager when he took himself out of the game in Philadelphia, I don't know if I can score from second base. And that was enough for Fry. There you see Dallas Green and the Phillies. We're in the bottom of the 8th. Fry and his coaching staff. Does he get it? 2 balls and 2 strikes on Aikens. The Phillies, talking about coming from behind, had only 6 come from behind wins in September. They've come from behind to win all 5 times in postseason play. They've been coming from behind to tie it. Now the Royals have a chance to break it, and this crowd is reacting. Strikes, 7 strikeouts for Ruthven. That ends the 8th inning. So, we complete 8 innings to score here. The Philadelphia Phillies, as we look at this, looks like a fastball.
Fastball on the inside corner, and he really set that up beautifully, Joe. Off-speed pitch before that, came back with a fastball inside.
Here's Brett's reaction, saying exactly what's happening, communicating with his coaches on the strikeout. Aikens doesn't even swing the bat.
And George just a bit disgusted in the fact they didn't score. McBride, fly to left, single to right, struck out, and fly to center. He is 1 for 4. Brett in close at third, Aikens back at first. Defense, Brett. Aikens back, shading him just a bit towards right center field. There's the strike. 1-1.
Quisenberry, as you know, had a rough outing the last time out in the championship series game, but Bill Kunkel, the man in the right field line, was behind the plate that day, and he said that Quisenberry, and it was a guess, was throwing 12, 15 miles per hour, less hard than he ordinarily does. Kunkel's had him a lot this season.
2 balls and 1 strike. He had 33 saves during the season, which tied him with Goose Gossage for the most in the American League. Can't get it. Base hit left field. That brings up Keith Moreland. Tiebreaker is on at first. We'll have game 4 tomorrow, but tomorrow, following the World Series, 4 o'clock Eastern time, Sports World returns, and we got a 10-round light heavyweight fight between Michael Spinks and Yaki Lopez. Have some of the greatest names in bowling. It's tomorrow on Sports World, 4 o'clock Eastern time, following the World Series right here on NBC Sports.
Royals looking for a bunt. Brett has sneaked in. Aikens will be charging. DHs ordinarily don't do a lot of bunting. The American League anyway.
Bunt here, takes it high, and it's ball 1. He'll make that Aikens field it if he can. Crowd just buzzing. We're in the 9th, nobody out. There's Brett. they come. High, ball 2. Here's some great conversations like, we can't feel it if you don't throw a strike.
It's unusual for Quisenberry to pitch high. That's McBride being held by Aikens at first, but in an almost absolute bunt situation, he's trying to throw the ball up high to get him to try and pop it up. They can always put a switch on you as you look at Fry.
There's his strike. Moreland doesn't think so, but that doesn't make any difference. It's 2 balls and 1 strike. Nobody out.
It's the last pitch, Tommy.
Last pitch from the center field camera. Definitely a bunt situation. Paul Pryor raises that right hand and would consider that a National League strike. No.
There goes Bake McBride. It's foul back. What do you mean not a National League strike? What do you think is the difference?
Obviously, we have a National League umpire behind the plate tonight. They alternate here in the World Series. Tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon, we'll have an American League umpire. The consensus among the players is that the American League strike zone is a little bit higher. As you look at Keith Moreland, might be right up there in the P for his Phillies on his uniform, whereas in the National League, a little bit above the belt might be the strike zone.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Quick throw. It was close, but he made it back. Nobody out. We're tied. 3-3. 9th inning. Back in time. Bake McBride. 13 of 23 stealing. High fly ball, left field, near the line. Wilson has time. Bake McBride's tagging up. We may have a race. Here it is. Not in time. Bake McBride very alertly went back, and there aren't very many coaches that can help you, although Amara was screaming his lungs out.
There are a lot of major league players who don't take advantage of this situation, who will just go halfway. But look at McBride. Aikens looks like he doesn't even see him, but McBride very alertly, as you said, Joe. The ball was deep in that left field corner. Wilson got it in as fast as he could, but McBride made a nice piece of base running.
He coached himself. He saw the ball was going to be caught. He headed back, and he picked up a big base. Looks like they may be putting Maddox on. Trio is the on-deck batter. They're going to put him on to set up a double play. There's ball 1. I'll tell you, a lot of people say they should eliminate this and just point to first base. I disagree thoroughly because of many weird things happen here.
How about the Oakland A's one year? Johnny mentioned the bat. 3-2 count, and Raleigh Fingers, on the orders of manager Dick Williams, threw a slider right down low in the outside corner. Strikeout bench. There's Trio on deck along with Boa.
So the situation now finds Bake McBride at second base. Gary Maddox is on at first base. 1 man out. Manny Trio is the batter. Trio singled and scored in the 2nd inning. He doubled in the 3rd, hit into a double play in the 5th, and he flied to center field in the 8th. Now's the time that Quisenberry has to say to himself, if the ball's hit back to me, I throw it where? Obviously second base. It's basic and all that. They want the rosin back. Time is called now.
Quisenberry also wants to know to whom he should lead, so he's already communicated with UL Washington White who's going to be there to take the throw, so he leads the right man.
Off his foot, Trio, and it's strike 1. The reason I bring that up is because Gale in that 2nd inning play, and yet he didn't throw to the plate, and Lonnie Smith gets an RBI as Trio scores. Should have been possibly a double play.
One thing that Quisenberry, with this sinker that he has, the underhand sinker that he developed from Kent DeColvey, you can see it there. Manny Trio drives it right down into his foot. Still a little bit uncomfortable. But one thing the Royals have told us is that Quisenberry's been able to come all year long and throw the double play ball when they need it.
They need it right here. Let's see what happens. Bunted, but bunted foul. And it is strike 2. know what she's doing, but she may be going right to the top. It looks like Manny Trio's wife, Maria.
I don't know who the lady was.
2 strikes. High chopper, Willie Mays Aikens to Quisenberry in time, and Beck McBride had some ideas. But Quisenberry very alertly faked the throw and drove him back. It was close. That was a tough play by that man right there, Willie Aikens, but they made it well.
He almost got a slow jump over, and then he ran parallel to the line. And Tommy was a good sinker by Quisenberry. And boy, he did the right thing, because he took 1 step after the bag and he looked to McBride, who had rounded third base and had thoughts of going home.
Quisenberry has a reputation of being an outstanding fielder. It was a good play by both the first baseman and the pitcher. Those basic fundamentals that you work on pay off all year long. Quisenberry works very hard on the fundamentals and just did get Manny Trio by about 10 inches is all.
Here's Larry Boa. They play him towards the left field line. They crowd him at third base. They crowd him at first. He's a bunting threat at any time. High chopper. Quisenberry has it. He flips. They're out of it. And listen to the fans. So we go into the bottom half of the 9th inning. We're all tied, and the Phillies. Oh, bottom of the 9th. Hal McRae leads it off. Phillies have left 14 men on base. Outside. Tied a record, and these fans, they want to run. Base hit, left field. Amos Otis.
Last time up in the 7th, here's what Amos Otis did. He got a fastball out over the plate. He had a home run toward right center field. Off Lukeman. Now it will be interesting. A left-hander is throwing. McGraw's back up in the bullpen for the Phillies, and you've got Otis up. Looks like a bunt situation, and 2 left-handed hitters, Hurdle and Porter. McGraw.
There you see Tuck McGraw throwing in the bullpen. Whether Bob Boone went out to the mound there to stall for a little bit of time. Tuck was not throwing at the beginning of this inning. Rutherford has thrown only 112 pitches so far. And whether he was stalling, Boone was stalling for a little bit of time for Dallas Green, we'll find out very shortly. Certainly a bunt situation.
Run to second base. To do that, he may have to lose 2 hitters. There's a strike, because if Otis gets him over, they'll probably walk Myrtle, and he apparently has decided to let his man of the hour. Now they want to look at the ball, because Otis has been a red-hot hitter. Came in 5 for 9 with 1 home run, 4 RBIs. Home run tonight, a single in the 2nd. He has been hot. Somebody has to make a decision. Jim Fry on the first pitch says, I want him to hit. Now he's going to bunt. Bunt's a foul.
He was going the right way, Joe, because Schmidt was looking down his throat, and of course Rose has to hold the runner on. Herm Starrett in front of Dallas Green, the manager.
There's the Kansas City bench. Tony talked about it in our opening when he said It's obvious and maybe an oversimplification, but the team that bats last has an edge, and here they are, batting in the bottom of the ninth. One ball, 2 strikes. The home fans, they're as tense as the players as Otis takes a look at Gordy McKenzie. He wants to know if McRae is breaking at first. Double play ball. 1. There it is. 6-4-3. McRae really tried to take him out, but Trio was long gone. The ball was hit too hard right at him.
Hal McRae does this very well. I don't know as hard as that ball was hit, how he got down that quickly. He slides, ducks the ball. Trio with a nice relay. He knew that McRae was barreling down into him, and let's watch Hal McRae from that left center field camera. He'll slide under the ball, then go to his roadblock. Look at Trio Lowbridge. That ball just went by his head.
Hurdle. Vaughn knocks it down. Up. The throw. Not in time.
This is a great play by Larry Boyd, saving the ball from going into left field. I doubt if it would have made any difference. He just doesn't quite have as strong a throwing arm as he used to. I'll tell you, 2 or 3 years ago, Larry Boyd would have thrown Clint Hurdle out at first base.
And he's hurt. When he dove, Tommy, I don't know if he landed on his left or right shoulder, but he jammed one of his left shoulder, it looks like. His glove hand, which could be painful when he tries to extend and reach for a ball. There's ball. The ball is hit very sharply and skidding away from him, slicing away. Made an even better play. What a nice try he made, Joe. We're going to have a pinch runner now. Hurdle leaves. He's being pinch run for Onyx Concepcion. Same name as Davey, your teammate, but no relationship.
Concepcion is on as the pinch runner. Porter. He is 0 for 6 in this World Series.
Concepcion down on first base because he has good speed and steals, but, well, we'll see what Jimmy Fry wants to do, but with Porter up, you wouldn't want to take the bat out of his hand with that hole open.
0-1. Inning open with McRae. Single and a double play ball hit by Otis.
Bob Boone, the Golden Glove winner for catchers in the National League, one of the outstanding defensive receivers. Makes a nice, clean pickup.
Inside. 2 balls, no strikes. That was a super play because he caught the ball. The big play is to get in front of it, which he was. 2 balls, no strikes, 2 outs. Bottom of the ninth, tied, 3-3. 2 outs. Concepcion, the pinch runner for Hurdle. Didn't get it. 2 balls, 1 strike.
I'm surprised, Tony, they're not running. I would think they'd put him in a situation to get him down to second base so they can score a run with a base hit.
Well, I think the thought is that it could happen now, 2 balls and 1 strike. Get him moving or a single, he might be able to score with that great speed.
Balls and 1 strike. Manny Trio at second base is literally playing a short right field. He's about 10-15 feet behind that line is drawn. There you see him. He's way back there. Look at that. He is deep. He's playing Porter to pull. He just gets more range from there.
The outfielders are back to cut down the alleys.
High fly ball. Big McBride should have no problem. He doesn't. So that ends the inning. We have extra inning.
1980 World Series. We're going to extra innings to try to decide this issue. As we start the 10th, we're deadlocked at 3. The Royals have made a change. Jose Cardinal moves to right in place of Clint Hurdle. The pinch runner was sent in in the bottom of the 9th. For the Royals, they've got to be bemoaning the loss of that run that Rich Gale had. Bases loaded, 1 out early on in the ball game. Let a run score when he could have turned it into a double play. And as for the Phillies, as they come up in the 10th with Boone, Smith, and Rose, they've got to be wondering, Joe, about those 14 base runners they've stranded, and that set a record, as you said earlier.
They have to be thinking about his right, Brian, as Boone takes it, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Cardinal in right field, placing Hurdle. Boone tries to bunt, misses it, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Boone walked in the 2nd and then flied out to center field 3 different times, so he's 0 for 3. There you see the on-deck man, Lonnie Smith. Pete Rose will follow him. There's a base hit by Bob Boone. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and Otis is up with it, gets it back in a hurry.
Tom Quisenberry's thrown very few of those fork balls. That's looked what that was, or was it a breaking pitch? But he got it up again. He's thrown basically fastballs.
Either the slider or the forkball, I don't know which it was. He threw 2 pretty good fastballs to him, and then he throws something else, something out over the plate that he could drive to right field. Didn't hit it real well, but certainly enough to get on base. The thing that will drive a pitcher and drive a manager crazy in a game like this, you want to get that first out in the inning. Takes the bunt away, sets up the double play to get you out of an inning. You let that first hitter get on, you start digging yourself a hole.
And we've got a pinch hitter coming up, Greg Gross, an excellent bunter. And that's one question Jim Fry will have to answer in the post-game interviews, win or lose, why he didn't bunt with Otis in the 9th inning, because the second guesses will be flying over the body. It is outside, ball 1.
Well, 5 of the last 8 games, all postseason games, Phillies have been involved in, have been extra innings, so they should be used to the pressure.
Bunted beautifully. Aikens will tag him down to second base. Goes Bob Boone. The tiebreaker is on second, and Pete Rose is the batter. And there you see little Petey Rose, who's acting as a bat boy, as his daddy goes up to hit. Jim Fry. He's going to say walk him, give him 4. They're going to put Pete Rose on intentionally. Set up the double play. Mike Schmidt is the on-deck batter. It'll be up to Mike Schmidt.
Right-hander. Ken Brett, isn't it?
That's what it is. There it is, ball 4. So Rose is on at first. Boone is on at second. 1 man out. Mike Schmidt is the batter. He walked into first, flied to left, hit a homer in the 5th, hit into a force play to 6th, and flied to center.
That showing a little respect for Pete Rose. He drove in a big run in the 8th, broke his bat. Strict percentages by Fry, but he was only 1 for 11 championships this World Series.
Quisenberry against Schmidt. Boone at second. We're tied, 3 apiece. Line drive. Frank White has it. Double play. Right at him.
The runners on first and second. 1 out, Mike Schmidt off Quisenberry, trying to drive the ball hard to right field. He does down and away, but look who's there. Frank White, winner of 3 consecutive Gold Gloves in the American League, and he turns it into this double play to save the Royals and Quisenberry.
They say he's got a knack for turning the double play. Quisenberry does when he comes in. A little unusual this time. I'm not sure that this is the way they'd like to have it, but they certainly do turn a crucial double play. Frank White made a beautiful play on Mike Schmidt's line drive.
We've got some kind of a rhubarb going on. Bill Kunkel has come in from right field again. Paul Pryor seems to disagree with him because he put up his hands, I don't know, but Kunkel are going over to the dugout. He did this once before, and it looks like they're going to call Dallas Green out, and we'll get some information just as soon as we can. It's Kunkel. He's down the right field line in the American League, and Paul Pryor's behind the plate. He's the umpire-in-chief.
Kunkel is the guy who's behind home plate in game number 2. In fact, he almost missed being there. He was watching his son, Kevin, play soccer, and he had to have a police escort and just barely made game time. We will try and find out for you as soon as we can. Well, as the conference between Green, Kunkel, and Pryor goes on, we're going to ask Ron Luciano. You've been there. What's going on? Do you have any idea?
Kunkel keeps pointing toward the dugout. The only thing I can figure out is maybe there's an illegal person in the dugout, and Kunkel wants him out of there, and Pryor's saying, hey, there's enough people in there to start a fire now. What's the difference if you have 2 or 3 more?
Kunkel's making a U-turn to tell Jim Fry what's going on. We've got communication. We'll find out.
Paul Moskow's in communication with a guy with a radar gun down behind home plate. They say there's a light flashing off and on in the Philly dugout for some reason. What it's for or what it's from, they're not sure, but they say there's a light seems to be flashing in the Philly dugout.
Proves one thing, umpires have great eyesight. He can see it all the way from the right field foul line.
One game it's a carpenter, tonight it's the electrician. Here's Tuck McGraw, who's been the workhorse for these Phillies. UL Washington, a switch hitter, batting right-handed. Hot shot, ball, can't get it. He literally ducked it. And UL is on. That was a funny way to play that ball, Tony.
It sure was. Bo had not much choice except to smother it, try and knock it down in front of him. He chose what's going to turn out to be the unwise way, get out of the way. He's been a great player. I'm assuming it'll be scored a base hit because it was hit so hard and in between. He might have taken it off the shin bone or knocked it down, but he chose to evade it.
He was handcuffed, and UL is on with a base hit. Here is Willie Wilson. Schmidt edging in. Rose will charge hard. Squared around already. Look at this. High. Ball 1. Mike Schmidt right in on top of him. Rose charging very hard. That run over to second base. They'll be using the bunt. Well, a good runner. High, ball 2. There'll be no trick plays here for Fry. He's going to stay facing. And that's a tough thing to walk this fella. He went to bat 705 times. In fact, he makes no bones about it. He said, if I wanted to walk, I'd been a mailman.
Walked 28 times only. The only other possibility of a bunt in this situation is a straight take. Make Tuck throw another pitch, might go 3-0, at least you're still ahead if you go 2-1.
2 balls, no strikes, Jim Fry. Bottom of the 10th. There you see Schmidt right in on top of him. Willie Wilson, 3 balls, no strikes. Ball 4, he walked it.
Tuck got himself in a real hole in a bunt situation with Willie Wilson showed that he was simply going to bunt the ball. Doug couldn't throw a strike. Walked Wilson on 4 pitches. That one a high fastball. Doug couldn't believe it, but it looked high to me. Dallas Green and Jim Fry looking the situation over.
Pete Lecoq really rooting them on because they've got base runners at first and second, nobody out. White, Brett, Aikens coming up. And very simply, the Phillies can't afford to lose. Kansas City cannot.
Well, Frank White up there to bunt, advance the runners. He is the best bunter on this team. He has led the American League in sacrifice bunts. He has excellent speed in UL Washington at second and Willie Wilson at first, and he runs too, but he's there to bunt.
And watch the play at second base. If Washington gets a big lead, McGraw probably getting set with his signs once again, which would include a pickoff play.
And Joe, a lot of teams use a lot of different trick plays, have the shortstop come over to third baseman charge, but with Washington speed at second, that could negate any trick play. You've got to hold him close, and Schmidt may have to feel that ball. You want to count. Nobody out.
1 strike the count. Frank White looking at his third base coach. McGraw's in a jam. Bottom of the 10th, there you see UL Washington. Pickoff. Nobody at third. Mike Schmidt gets back in time. And UL Washington picked off at the most inopportune time of his life.
Tell you who made the great play on that, or the good play, is Bob Boone. There were more than one good play, but he had him hung up when he bunted through the ball. He fakes, which committed UL Washington to go to third. He faked him out. He went to third, and Schmidt made the next good play by getting back and make the tag. The call by Nick Bremigan. Boy, was he on the play. Here's where he's got him frozen now, Tommy.
Schmidt made an outstanding play. Schmidt was moving in, but continued to check over his left shoulder, the runner at second base. Washington was able to get back in time. Fine play by Mike Schmidt and Booney at home.
Pitch out, nothing. Pitch out, nothing happening.
Here's Booney's throw. It was especially made harder because he had hit a moving target, and Schmidt, UL Washington tried to slide away from the tag, but Schmidt stayed right with him.
Wilson's got to steal a base now. White is out on strikes. McGraw gets a big strikeout. Now Brett is the hitter. As a catcher, as we look at UL Washington, you think about that because once White missed the ball, UL took a step towards third. Boone started to throw to second, and when UL saw that, he broke another step, and Booney held it, and boom, big out at third. Brett takes a strike. Here's what you're thinking about now. If Willie Wilson steals with 2 outs, they'll walk Brett, their best hitter, to go against Aikens. They're going to have to nail him down to first base. Even if he makes it, it doesn't mean anything. The big play was UL Washington getting picked off. He's going to have 100 reasons, but none of them will count. Booney still thinks he's going to run. UL is really hurting. Ball players don't run on batteries. He knows what he did, except that there are millions of people who saw it.
And that is not uncommon. You've done that, Joe, with a good bunter like White up. He bunts through the ball, and you get picked off at second.
There goes Wilson, a pitch out. They'll not get it. And right now, I imagine they'll take the bat right out of Brett's hand.
You bet, but Aikens is not going to come to the plate. If they do, it'll probably be John Wathan. Here's the steal by Willie Wilson.
It looks like Larry Bowen never gets to the bag. Willie Wilson's still in the base. I don't think Larry got in position to feel the ball. It didn't throw, and if he'd gotten in position, I think they'd have had him. They do, correctly. Take the bat out of George Brett's hand, which I don't understand.
Jimmy Fry, as we look at Dallas Green and Bobby Wine and Amaro, Jimmy Fry knew that he was not going to let Aikens hit. He wants that runner in scoring position. He'll have to explain that move, but he is going to have to. Well, he's going to let Aikens hit, probably feeling that he'll take the screwball away from Tuck McGraw, and Aikens will get a fastball.
The plays that they'll be thinking about if they should lose this game, Gale with the ball hit back to him, not going to the plate, and UL Washington getting picked off. You can rationalize all you want, but bad plays. They were bad plays. Aikens with 2 outs. Wilson, who can score on anything, wind blowing in or wind blowing out. Aikens a power man. He has a triple tonight. He had 2 home runs the other night. It is low, ball 1. We're in the bottom of the 10th, tied. Didn't get it. 1 ball and 1 strike. McGraw against Aikens. Wilson will score, and Brett has to just tag second base on the base hit. McGraw knows that. The Phillies know that. They're going out after this man right